It's our top national story from ABC News. The Pentagon now says more than 50,000 U.S. troops are in the Middle East. ABC's Rachel Scott at the White House.
President Trump in the Oval Office insisting the U.S. struck Iran at his direction, not because of Israel.
Mr. President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first.
But those words contradicting his own Secretary of State, who just 24 hours earlier said the U.S. acted because Israel was going to attack Iran first and set off a chain reaction.
U.S. citizens are being told to leave the Middle East as embassies around the region are being attacked, but flights have been hard to find. Morris Columbus Travel, based here in Utah, has a tour group in Jordan.
They did have set flights home originally that were all canceled, so we had to go through and rebook everybody on different airlines in some cases.
Operations manager Wendy Frachia says they are finding flights, and slowly they're getting everyone home. She also tells KSL so far they've only had to cancel one upcoming tour, but they're monitoring the situation, which could end up halting other upcoming trips. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 304 points, so a bit of a recovery from yesterday, up to 48,814. Coming up, we still have a few slow spots, including a crash on Bangalore Highway and nice, beautiful weather today. We'll check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we help Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. Let's talk conventional versus FHA loans. Both offer cash-out refinances up to 80% loan-to-value or LTV, so which is best for you? It's kind of like Uber and Lyft. I always compare the two before booking a ride. Conventional loans don't have mortgage insurance under 80% LTV. However, the rates and costs get higher with lower credit scores, cash-out, and high LTVs. FHA loans always have mortgage insurance, but the rates are lower, they don't penalize you for cash out and high LTV loans, and they allow for higher debt-to-income ratios. FHA often results in lower payment even with mortgage insurance. We can analyze your situation within minutes. Call us today. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SOUND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SOUND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SOUND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Traffic and weather together on KSL, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Let's check in with Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15 delays in Salt Lake County still finding their way on out. It's a little bit slow coming down the hill from the point of the mountain approaching Bangerter Highway, and again from the south interchange up to 5300 south. And of course, you still have those slowdowns northbound I-15 approaching 13th south, but they're all starting to die out real easily now. Northbound Bangerter Highway, those delays also starting to ease as workers get their way to work. The crash has opened up all the lanes, still blocking that right shoulder near 4100 south. Arctic Spas, hot tubs and swim spas with stores in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Comfort with multi-level seating, 100% massaging jets, and adjustable pillows. ArcticSpasUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast, beautiful today. Sunny, some clouds this afternoon. There is a small chance of rain in the evening for now, but highs in the 60s. Still a little bit chilly right now, 43 degrees, but it is sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
It is the final countdown to the Utah legislative session. We are day, I don't know.
It's 43 out of 45.
We're going to wrap up this week. And there are a lot going on. You and I have been watching one bill, Holly, an election bill, that would have significantly decreased vote by mail, probably, and increased poll worker staffing at drop boxes. What it required, I think, was that voters drop off their vote by mail at a drop box and show
or in person in a voting location.
Right, show some level of identification.
Yep.
You think that one is?
It's dead
For the year?
Well,
maybe.
Probably. So the thing with the legislature is you never say never. Until the final gavel is struck, I guess, at midnight. But for now, it looks pretty certain that bill is dead. And what's interesting is it was killed by its sponsor in the Senate. So that was Senator Mike McKell. It got over to the Senate Government Operations Committee, and he moved to go to the next agenda item, which in effect just said, okay, the bill is dead now. So, and again, in theory, it could come back, but I don't think it will. Senator Ron Winterton, he said to the House sponsor, which is Representative Burton from Spanish Fork, he said, you've got your work cut out for the summer. So I would say that is probably signaling that the committee, like, first of all, they're not going to hear it again, but second of all, they're not going to resurrect it.
And that bill was getting some, I think, pushback because of the fact that a lot of people felt like vote by mail in Utah was working pretty well. And
why did we want to make it harder?
Why mess with it?
So Representative Burton did say we need this for election security. We've talked about that a lot. We don't have the data to show that we have a real problem with election security in the state of Utah. But in any case, that bill is dead. Another bill, and I think we might have talked about this, but the Secretary of State bill is dead. That bill was also killed by Senator McKell. So sometimes
the bill that would have created a new position for Secretary of State, dividing that the election function out of the Lieutenant Governor's office.
Right. That bill's dead. And you know what's interesting is I think as long as I've watched the legislature, the Senate has always been known as the place bills go to die. So those are some bills that have died, and it's interesting to me. But we also have with us Bridger Bill Svetko from KSL.com, who is watching some other bills. We only have three days, right? Today, tomorrow, and Friday. Bridger, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's I think 63 hours left till the end, but who's counting?
Who's counting? Right. All right. So what are you watching right now?
Well, I'm like you mentioned really quick. I wanted to jump in on the election bill. I think that you said it well that the Senate is where the bills go to die. I think there's a lot of probably hundreds of bills that are going to pass over the next couple of days. I think that elections bill, the Secretary of State bill, a couple others that have kind of gone down pretty hard in committee. I think on the Senate side, there's a push to really prioritize. We've only got 3 days left. What's really feasible to get done this, before the end of this week, and push everything off for future years. Another bill that I'm watching that's kind of up in limbo right now, that's been around since the beginning of the session, would kind of restrict immigration benefits for people that are here that are undocumented. The House version originally, would prevent kind of any type of public support, food pantries or anything like that going to people that are here illegally. That seemed like it wasn't going to go anywhere. So late last week, the sponsor put some of the provisions that prohibited like tuition reimbursement or some tuition benefits for undocumented immigrants. He put that into another election bill that passed the House, or another immigration bill that passed the House. Kind of took that one over, adding some of his provisions in there. And so I'm interested to watch that. I think as the last couple of days go, there are bills that look like they may not be going anywhere, but lawmakers might try to find a way to wiggle some of their policies into other proposals. So that's one of those that I'm keeping a close eye on here before the end of the session.
Can I just ask you a follow-up? Is that House Bill 386 now being run by Lisa Shepard?
Yes. Yep, that's the one.
Okay. I'm seeing that it passed the House, but then it was held by the House, which is interesting.
Yeah, I don't have a great answer about where that was going. It passed, so I assumed it would be sent to the Senate and realized it was held. So I'm going to try to get some answers on where that one's going to go. But it's one that it passed, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it pop up in the Senate here in the last couple of days.
Bridger, there was another bill we were looking at that would have extended leave for parents, maternity leave. Yeah. Do you know what happened with that one?
This is the state program, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah, as I understand, that one's moved forward. I think it originally would have extended. Right now, maternity leave I think is 3 weeks for all state employees. That one would have extended it to 9 weeks initially. I think it's down to 6 weeks now, but it moved forward. So it seemed like there was kind of a compromise, middle of the road approach that was taken there, and it seems like it's moving forward at this point.
Yeah, that bill is going to be heard in a Senate committee this afternoon. So I thought committees were done yesterday, but there's a handful that are happening this afternoon. So that is one of the bills that will be discussed this afternoon. What else are you watching?
There's a lot that I'm watching. Another big one that I'm kind of curious about is a judicial transparency bill. It was really promoted by Speaker Mike Schultz before the session. He's been a big proponent of it. He says it would kind of make the court's website similar to the legislature's websites, which are very transparent, really open, really easy to navigate. I know that one had some concerns about, privacy for victims, or, there's some things in the court system that are, a little more private than things up at the legislature. So they were trying to find a way to balance things out with that bill. I think it was HB 540. But given that was such a priority of the speaker, I'm curious to see where that one lands in the last couple of days as they try to find, see if they can land that policy.
Yeah, I remember we spoke with the speaker while we were up at the Hill, and he talked to us about that bill. Maybe you just answered this, but do we know where it is exactly? What I thought it did, Bridger, was allowed the public more access into judicial decisions and things that judges had done, so that we could have what they call judicial transparency and see what judges are doing, what they've decided, and what their rulings have been.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think it would make it easier to stream or listen to live hearings as they happen, which you can do, but you sometimes need to get a WebEx link or reach out to the court staff in order to do so. So I think it would make that easier. I believe that bill is still on the House side. I could be wrong on that one, but I know they were trying to iron out some of those final details to see if they could find a spot where the courts felt like it was transparent enough while still protecting, the identity of some of the people involved in some court cases.
It looks to me like it's on the Senate side, that it has passed the House and Senate committee, so it'll be up for discussion in the Senate. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks for joining us, Bridger. That was super helpful. That was Bridger Biel-Svetko from KSL.com.
So what is it like right now, Holly? I mean, because you can say, as we have several of these bills seem to have died, seem to have gone down, but it seems like there's so many things that happen in the few hours at the end of the session.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. And there are a lot of things and a lot of moving parts. And like I mentioned, and even Bridger mentioned, bills that you think are dead can be resurrected. Bills that you thought were alive and had bipartisan support can die. I mean, and they can die ignominious deaths, right? Where it's like, well, what happened? We never even talked about it.
Right.
So we're gonna switch gears really quickly, though, to a story that hit me really hard, and that was the deaths of 3 adult men with disabilities. They were left in a running car while the driver went into a house and watched some TV and ate, and now there are actions being taken against the company that employed the driver. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Hi, I'm Mike Kay at My Policy Quote, and if you missed open enrollment or did enroll in one of those marketplace government plans, it's not too late. I save my clients 30 to 60%. That's an average of $3,500 to $9,000 in premium savings. At My Policy Quote, you can choose any doctor, zero deductible for outpatient expenses, and oh, one more thing, premiums are not tied to your income, so there's no surprise tax penalty at the end of the year like those government plans. And unlike those ACA plans where the use prices are dictated, with me, all of your costs are managed by you, so you control your out-of-pocket. If you pay your own health insurance, you're on COBRA, uninsured, your employer is just too much, or even self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type. Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs,
they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, we learned that just within the last 2 days, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services is revoking the license of the Safe and Sound Services Company. It's an adult treatment center linked to the death of 3 clients. And this is really tragic because the clients were disabled adult men who were left in a vehicle while it was running, apparently, and they passed away while they were sitting in a garage.
Of carbon monoxide poisoning, right?
Yes.
Two of the men had disabilities and were nonverbal. They all had disabilities. They were nonverbal. And so as a mom of adult men with disabilities, it just oh my gosh, that was a gut punch to hear that news. My kids are not in, they don't have caregivers, but there will probably come a point where I'm not able to, and my husband, we're not able to help take care of them, and we're probably going to need additional assistance. And it could be from the state. So this story about men who were left in the car, and it was February and it was cold, and he left the car running in the garage, and they ended up dying of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, there's some dispute from him, of course, about what happened, and he's been charged criminally with numerous counts of murder for each of the individuals, and that case is still pending. He's presumed innocent, but it happened on February 6th. He picked them up, went to his house. I guess one of the men was being disruptive, so he sort of he went to his house and said, look, you guys are going to calm down. 2 of them were nonverbal. He then went into the house to watch TV and eat. He claims that the car wasn't running, but when he came out, the car wouldn't run anymore, which makes me think maybe it ran out of gas in the garage. He also claims the windows were open and the garage door was open. Others found that it was not the case and it was closed. Wouldn't start, and all 3 were unresponsive. They all died at the scene. So that had to have been just a horrible situation for them, and apparently they were unable to get out of the car and open the doors or do anything else. They probably had a limited ability to help themselves in that situation. And what a painful, horrible way to die, carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah. So I guess what's interesting to me, and let me ask you this: how often is it, so he's the driver, there are consequences for him. How often is it that we see a business being held responsible for one of their employees?
Not often, but in this case, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, they had some prior incident. They had prior problems. It's not like a one-off. At least that's what they're claiming. So they're saying that there had been prior incidents with the same driver, at least with the same company, and they were concerned about what was going on. And so that would give you, or at least they have had prior problems. So if this had been just completely out of the blue, you fire him, you get him charged with whatever, the company continues to go on. But if the company has a history, and I'm not saying they do, but the state is apparently alleging that there was something that had happened previously with them, that would mean, okay, you don't get to have multiple chances at this.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're saying alleging, and yet I'm looking at the information sent out from the Department of Health and Human Services, and they're detailing when they received non-compliance letters going back to 2024. So they've revoked the license. I don't know that there's.
No, they have.
There's not like a trial.
No. This is an administrative. So it's not a. It's not one of those things where due process requires that you have a right to a trial. This is a licensing issue.
Right.
And the state can take licenses away, just like a driver's license. If
Sure.
you're caught with a DUI, they can prosecute you criminally, and that goes through the criminal process. You go to court, you have a jury, you have that now. But motor vehicles can take your license away with just an administrative hearing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a right to, there is some level of due process, but you don't have a right to a jury. The appeal levels are pretty limited, and the hearing officer is it's just a very straightforward hearing. That's what happened here. And you're right, there is a lot, they do articulate quite a number of prior incidents, like you say, going back to March of 2024, and not having staff complete suicide training. They go on and on and on. There's probably 12 or 15 prior instance that the company was out of compliance. So it makes you wonder how they got this far with such a large number of non-compliance findings. But I also assume that it's hard to get people that will do this kind of work, and the state's probably tries to work with people rather than get rid of them when they've had problems.
So one of the things I guess that will happen with this is the parents of other individuals who are under the care of Safe and Sound Services. It's an adult treatment center, but they're going to be notified, right, that they're going to have to find care. And what it makes me think of is, do you remember when Salt Lake County was talking about closing down the daycares, and you have that sound from the council meeting of the mother just sobbing, saying, "I don't know where to put my child." I think it's the same when you have an adult child with disabilities, and you don't know where to put them. I would guess that the families are going to have a very similar reaction because it is hard to find care.
Yeah, and they may have good experiences with this company and want to keep going, but the state of Utah doesn't have much choice given what's happened here. And this individual that was the caretaker himself that went in the house, I mean, I can't even imagine what he was thinking, is charged now. He was booked for manslaughter, 6 counts, but when the DA's office got a hold of it, they ended up charging him with murder, 3 counts, 1 for each of the individuals. So that shows that they felt that this was a pretty egregious act, not just a, hey, I'm going to go in the house and grab a sandwich and watch TV and something happens. They're saying that it was showed a real depraved indifference to human life, that he would do such in their opinion, a very callous thing.
Yeah.
But then it does go back to the company. So you look at that, and you would say, okay, this is a real problem. This shouldn't have happened. The company needs to be looked at, and then they go back and start finding more and more and more and more out of compliance violations and say, okay, enough's enough.
Yeah, and again, I just think it's such a tragedy. And one of the mothers of one of the men that died, she said, and I'm paraphrasing, I just remember seeing news stories, just that it was preventable, and it was absolutely tragic and something that shouldn't have happened. And I agree with her, right? It's a preventable tragedy that shouldn't have happened, and just how devastating it is now for those 3 families that had to bury their children.
And the question is, in terms of the criminal case, what was the status of the vehicle? Because you would know, I mean, anybody would know that you don't leave a running motor vehicle in a garage with somebody in there. I mean, that's just, I mean, that would constitute almost a murder charge, or maybe that's what the district attorneys are hanging their hat on here, because to see an incident like this where the person did not intend to cause the death of someone, but his actions were so callous, to see that charge as a murder really shows that the district attorney's office felt like this individual, this defendant, did more than just simply negligent or careless.
So one of the things that's interesting to me, and this is a news story about when the murder charges were filed, is that he had been reprimanded before for leaving clients unsupervised for 30 minutes. And in this situation, it was 4.5 hours. So I would just say he probably lost track of time, but there were carbon monoxide alarms going off in the apartments above the garage where this vehicle was running. The garage door was closed, and they were, like I said, they were in there for 4.5 hours.
Oh yeah. Oh my word. That had to be just awful. And and the fact that it didn't start, like I say, makes me think it probably just sat there and ran for 4.5 hours and ran out of gas, and he couldn't get it to start. But he claims that the motor was off, the windows were down, the garage was open when he left. Now, I don't know. You have to take him at his word, I guess. But you would assume that somebody didn't just go in there and close the garage door and start the car just to be
right. You would assume that, yeah. So we'll let that play out in the courts. But again, this company that employed this individual as the driver, they have lost their license to practice, and so any current clients of theirs will need to find other providers.
And I think they're giving a press conference later on this morning that we may be breaking away to. I think that might be at 11 o'clock. We'll be watching that closely, but I think that the Department of Health and Human Services is going to give us some more information about that later. And if that's the case, we will certainly take you to that as the day proceeds. When we come back, one seemingly unintended consequence to the bombing in Iran is Americans are now stranded in the Middle East. We'll talk with a couple stuck in Dubai when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: a Utah mom is pleading with lawmakers to do something about the dangers of AI. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
There is no parent that can outsmart an algorithm. Utah mom Jenny DeSario says they just don't stand a chance. She tells the Deseret News that's why she's showing support for the AI transparency bill. It would require AI firms to publish internal risk assessments, post child protection plans on their website, and report safety incidents to Utah's Office of AI Regulation. DeSario says artificial intelligence took the life of her son. He was in a bad place after a breakup, and his TikTok For You page only made it worse, showing him videos with suicidal ideations leading up to his 2022 suicide. The thing is, the bill likely won't pass. Utah lawmakers say it gets into troubling regulation territory. Lawmakers say they are still working to protect children. We just don't know how yet. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News: primary elections around the country could change control of the Senate. ABC's Sophie Flay reports.
Chaos at the polls across Texas in a primary that could help determine control of the U.S. Senate. Hundreds of voters were turned away at polling stations because of a new rule requiring them to cast ballots at their assigned precinct. Confusion and long lines prompted a judge to extend polling hours. But Attorney General Ken Paxton, who's running in the Republican Senate primary, got the Texas Supreme Court to overturn that order and separate any votes cast after 7 p.m.
Another big primary in North Carolina. ABC News projecting former Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Whatley will win. Your money at this moment: the Dow's up 271 points to 48,772. Coming up, it's going to warm up today. Really warm. We'll check weather next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Are you looking to upgrade your home this year? Advanced Window Products is your local window and door manufacturer that sells direct to the public.
That's right, celebrating 40 years serving Utah since 1986. And right now, it's the New Year, New Window Sale. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more.
Our windows are made right here in Salt Lake City. Sales and installation are all in-house, meaning no middleman markups. You get the most affordable, high-quality custom windows in the state.
We build it, we install it, and we guarantee it for life.
Every window comes with a lifetime warranty, labor, glass, and parts included, serviced by our local team, and the warranty is transferable to the next homeowner.
Financing is available too. Save now, pay later, with payments as low as $150 a month.
Buy local and support the local economy. Don't wait. Buy 10 windows or more and get $2,500 off. Beat the rush and call today.
Call us at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com.
So my friends over at Pure Talk have been sending me customer feedback from consumeraffairs.com, where thousands of people rate and review the top wireless providers. Here, for instance, is a nice note from James in Raleigh, North Carolina, who writes, quote, "After hearing Mike Rowe's ad, we made the switch to Pure Talk, and we couldn't be happier. We went from spending $1,200 a year with T-Mobile to $420 with Pure Talk. Thanks, Mike. Switch today!" Exclamation point. Pure Talk is saving James $820 a year. And because he literally wrote the words "switch today" in capital letters with an exclamation point, I'm going to go ahead and dedicate this commercial to him. So folks, take it from James in Raleigh, North Carolina. Pure Talk can give you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month on the same 5G service the big guys are overcharging you for. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. You'll also save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 to save an additional 50%. Thanks, James.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Direct deposit gets you $300. Love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15 delays just as you pass 4500 south, reaching up to the I-80 interchange, where we did have a crash that pulled away just minutes ago, blocking the right shoulder to get onto eastbound I-80. Those delays should die out pretty soon here. We also still have that crash northbound Bangerter Highway in West Valley, just before 4100 south, blocking the right shoulder. Some light delays behind them. The Great Salt Lake is drying up, but you still have time to make a difference. Visit growgsl.org to learn more about how you can help save the lake. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today will be sunny with some clouds this afternoon. There's a small chance of rain in the evening, but highs in the 60s. That sounds great. Right now it's 43 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we are learning that as many as 1,500 Americans are believed to be in the Middle East looking for a way out. And when reached Tuesday, the State Department's hotline recording said, quote, "Please do not rely on the U.S. government for assisted departure or evacuation at this time." In other words, you're on your own, but get out of there. Here's more from ABC's Nicole D'Antonio.
After urging Americans to evacuate despite major disruptions to air travel across the region, the State Department now says it is actively securing military aircraft and charter flights for American citizens.
Airport's pretty empty.
American Alyssa Ramos managed to make her way from Kuwait City to the airport in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Oh my God, I'm so happy. I've never been happier to be in Egypt.
She was eventually able to fly to Egypt and is now helping others find transportation out of the region.
We have a lot of options for land transfers.
For those Americans still stranded, Secretary of State Rubio has encouraged them to call the State Department's hotline.
Except the hotline says don't depend on the government for help. So we have with us on the line one couple, Tony and Devere Hunt, who were from Utah originally. They live in Idaho Falls now, but they're stuck in Dubai. Thanks, guys, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So tell us what you're doing and how you ended up in Dubai.
We came on a religious world religion tour, and we toured India for about 2 weeks, and then our last 3 days we were going to be in Dubai. So we came into Dubai last Thursday, had a couple of things on our tours that we went through on Friday, and then on Saturday we were out at the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi, and while we were there we heard a boom. Didn't really think much about it until about 15 minutes later. Everybody's alarms and phones were going off with alerts, kind of like an Amber Alert. And at that point, our tour guide was like, "We need to get out." So as we left the mosque, we started hearing a lot more booms. We looked up immediately and saw Patriot missiles intercepting the missiles coming in from Iran at that time. We didn't realize it, but we were about 18 miles from the Al Dhafra Air Force Base there in Abu Dhabi. And so from there, we hopped a bus to get back to Dubai, about 2 hours. We passed another, I think it was not Jezebel. It was a port just outside of Dubai, and it had received fire likewise, and it was on smoking and had been on fire at that time. And so we've been in Dubai since then. On a shelter-in-place order.
So, Devere, maybe you can answer this question. That sounds very frightening, but what was your experience when you started hearing booms and seeing things overhead?
I'll let Tony speak to that. For me, I knew that things were going on a couple of weeks ago when we came, and part of me was kind of hoping I might see some kind of action while we were here before we left.
Oh, be careful what you wish for then.
This isn't exactly what I was hoping for, is to be kind of stranded for a week. So I was a little bit excited about just seeing it. Not excited about war, not excited about the tragedy, but to be able to be in a space where history was happening. I love history, and it was an opportunity for me to kind of witness history. But that's not necessarily what I expected, is not what we necessarily have experienced. So I can let Tony speak to her.
Yeah, I'm not the thrill seeker that Devere is. So to say it was unsettling is probably saying it lightly. It was very unsettling to see that, and then to know what was happening. We actually had a member of the State Department on our tour with us who was getting updates before anyone else, and so he was able to talk to us and tell us what was going on, and that helped a lot. So we knew that with him we were okay. He's actually stationed in Saudi Arabia, so he was just getting those updates really quickly. I think at first it seems surreal, but now as the days have gone on and we're still hearing some of those booms and knowing that missiles are coming in, it's still unnerving. We've talked to some of the local people here, and they said nothing has ever happened before like this here. This is all new to them too. But the people here are amazing, so kind and so gracious, and they want to make sure that everyone feels safe and protected. And the hotel where we're at has gone above and beyond, just making sure that we're comfortable. I can't say enough about how kind they are and how they really reached out to us to make sure that everything is okay.
What are you hearing from the State Department or from any federal U.S. authorities about how you're going to get out of there, or is it one of these things where you guys need to make the arrangements on your own?
We've not heard from anybody. We registered with the STEPS program. Also, Marco Rubio had put out a phone number for us to call, so I called that number. It takes you to voicemails. I left a message identifying that there's about 65 Americans in our group. The majority of them are from Utah, some from Washington, some from Arizona, some from Colorado.
New Mexico. But I've not heard anything back from that message that I had left for them.
It is a little bit frustrating from the perspective that, we've heard that we're supposed to get out of the area when it's impossible to get out of the area. Our tour group, we are working on arranging to get into Oman, to have buses take us to Oman and to try to catch flights out of Muscat. But that just didn't quite work out. It wasn't feasible to be able to do that. We could fly back into India, but most of the flights coming out still went through Dubai or through Qatar. And so it wasn't a feasible option for us, so we remained in place.
Can I ask you a question about your travel agency? If you're there on a tour, it sounds to me like they are also maybe working on trying to get you out, or have they just looked at some options and they're not feasible?
They really have been great. They've been looking at all kinds of options. As far as our flights go, it was decided that it would be better if we all took our own bookings and then tried to book flights that would work for us. So that's what we did. We booked another flight independently on our own, and then we have the flight from the tour group that the tour company set up for us. And so we've just been changing the dates as needed. We usually get a notification about 3:00 in the afternoon every day whether or not it's going to go through or canceled. And so far we haven't had a going through one. They've just been canceled. So we just keep moving those flights. So we're on the phone a lot through the day. It usually takes an hour or two to get through to the airline. And I'm sure they're inundated with so many people doing the same thing. And then they just rebook us on another flight. And so every day we just hope that one of them will go through. But I think everybody's doing what they can. I know several people in our group have been in touch with state senators. We have as well in Idaho. And I think everyone is doing what they can, but there's just not a lot that can be done right now, is what it seems like.
Devere, we've got about a minute left. Can you tell us, did you actually see rockets shooting down incoming missiles?
Yes, we've probably seen 10 to 12 intercepted missiles. Some of them are the THAAD rocket launchers from the ground. Others are Patriot missiles. There's also UEA has a phenomenal defense system. It's a 3-tier defense system where you have THAAD, you have the Patriots, and then you have kind of the lower for the drones. The missiles and drones, the drones have a little bit more success getting through, but we've seen the missiles intercept in the sky. We hear booms all day long. We can look up, we've seen debris falling, and so, we've witnessed them every day just about since we've been here.
Wow. Thank you for joining us and sharing your experience this morning. That's Tony and Devere Hunt, and they're stuck in Dubai right now.
Let's
so
hope they get home safely.
I know. Look, this story also caught my attention this morning. Police arrested a Tooele woman and accused her of providing alcohol to a group of young teens at a birthday party. The arrest documents say one of the youths, and I think he was only 11, was found passed out with a liquor bottle beside him. We're going to break down what we know when we come back.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical, and I'm humbled to win Utah's Best of State for 2025 for the 15th year in a row. After 28 years, we're all about you. Over 1,700 5-star Google reviews and a 4.8 customer satisfaction score to prove it. We'll keep working hard for you. I've spent this year advocating with lawmakers for better Medicare reimbursement, ensuring you always have the best access to medical supplies you need. From Idaho Falls to St. George, our 11 stores are your home for comfort. When you hear Alpine Home Medical, think of that best of state experience every single time. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to A to Z Savings, our biggest sale of the year.
Happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with Duralast rotors.
Free. Really?
Really? Free.
I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah. How much is that?
Free with the oil.
Free. Really?
Really. Free. It's part of A to Z Savings with hundreds of deals.
From A to free.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ends March 9th. Restrictions apply.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
We are learning this morning that police have arrested a Tooele woman. In fact, she's now been charged with providing alcohol to a group of young teens at a birthday party. This occurred, Holly, on February 28th. Here's KSL's Michelle Rowe with the details.
Police say a parent picked up his 13-year-old from a birthday party at 40-year-old Christina Sau's house, and his child smelled of alcohol. He contacted police, who responded to the residence with a warrant. Arresting documents say there were 15 to 20 children at the party, 6 of whom tested positive for alcohol. One of the youths involved was passed out with a liquor bottle beside them. According to police, Sau has a history of harboring minors and providing them with alcohol. Michelle Rowe, KSL News Radio.
Yeah, and so this one's really troubling because she had a group of kids at her house, and Michelle just talked about that, about 15. She's charged with, it looks like, about 8 different counts of child abuse, reckless child abuse, and one of them is aggravated child abuse, selling and furnishing alcohol to a minor, numerous counts. I'm counting at least 7 here. And from the probable cause statement, there were juveniles as young as 11 found in the home, passed out. One juvenile, 11, found in the home basement, passed out with a bottle of liquor next to him. Medics arrived, checked into his welfare. Interviews were conducted with all the other kids, and there was another 11-year-old that was there. Excuse me, that may be the same one. A 13-year-old who was staggering. I mean,
oh my gosh,
this isn't just the 19, 20-year-old kids that are not quite old enough. Not that that's an excuse. You shouldn't do that. But you can't give alcohol to somebody that age under any circumstance.
As a parent, I would
whatsoever.
be. That dad, I think, was right on the money to say, what's happening here, and to call police right away. Because as a parent, I would be absolutely horrified to send my child to a birthday party and find out that they were given alcohol.
Right. And that's how it came about. Is some dad went and picked up a 13-year-old, said when he picked her up, she smelled of alcohol and stated that she was intoxicated. He said that other kids were drinking. So he called the police. They went there with a warrant, a signed search warrant, went in the house, and they saw what must have just been devastating to police officers. I mean, they don't like to come into something like that and seeing all those kids like that. And I know the parent probably thought she was being the cool mom or something like that. But
that's terrible.
The fallout to this is going to be just awful for her, and she's charged with at least 1 felony. I can see the aggravated child abuse. Other charges are pretty significant. I wouldn't be surprised in a case like this, Holly, that this woman, if she's convicted, and obviously she's presumed innocent, if she did some jail time.
Yeah. Well, as a parent, I'm hopeful that might be the case. Look, it's funny because I have a lot of years of parenting under my belt, and I'm still paranoid. I'm like, I don't know. I know you've been best friends for a long time, but you're going to a birthday party, and I don't know the other people that are going to be there. Now I'm going to be even more paranoid.
Well, and she had to know she wasn't going to just get away with it. I mean, guy comes and picks up his kid, and the kid smells of alcohol. What's he going to do? Just say, hey, knock it off?
Fun party.
Yeah, what kind of party was that? I mean,
I'm going to make a presumption here, and I don't know. But my guess is she has done this before and gotten away with it, so she probably did presume that she could get away with it if she was known as the fun mom, right?
And police walk in to a bedroom. They see an 11-year-old
passed out
with a bottle of liquor next to him. I mean,
and kids just are not, their bodies are not able to handle
and they don't know
these things.
You have some liquor. Do you drink a sip? Do you drink a glass?
Gosh.
And then it hits you so hard you don't know what you're doing. I mean, anyway, this case has been filed. It's proceeding through the system, although it's only been a couple days. I don't know if she's in custody or not. My guess is she might be at this point. I can't tell from the information I'm looking up. She was booked into jail on the 28th. She may still be there. Maybe there'll be a bail hearing or something like that. But I could imagine a judge wanting to hold her for at least some time. We'll see what happens on that one.
All right, so tell us about, there's another story that we were following this morning, and that's a Taylorsville high school student who was arrested. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, an 18-year-old high school student who had been suspended went back to the school and apparently had in his possession a Glock 19, which is a compact 9mm handgun used by police officers and people. It's a 9mm. It's a bad gun, and he was there at the school. He was booked into Salt Lake County Jail for investigating of threatening to use a dangerous weapon during a fight. He went to the school. This is according to police reports. He was suspended, came onto Taylorsville High School grounds without permission. I'm looking at the police booking affidavit. They say he drove up to a group of students standing on the north field and confronted them, and during the confrontation, multiple witnesses, as well as 3 juveniles in the group, stated they observed him brandish a handgun, pointed at the group, and called them names, and told them to go to the park to settle things, and then drove away. So they actually obtained some surveillance, as you might expect, on school grounds. You'd have something like that. And they saw him entering the ground. We don't know why he was excluded or suspended from the school in the first place, but apparently it looks like he was almost like being angry at somebody. Somebody may have got him suspended. He's coming back saying, "Hey, we're going to finish this off now." Brandishes a gun.
Is there any indication that he actually knew the students that he confronted, or were they just a random group of students and he was mad at everybody?
Well, just based on what he said, called them names, told them to go to the park to settle things. So it makes you think that he had something going on with that group.
With that particular group.
Wanted to make sure that they understood that he was taking this seriously. And it was a real gun. I mean, it's not a fake gun or anything like that, but this is a real gun. The spokesperson for Granite School District said that student safety remains our highest priority. We appreciate the students who reported the concern and the swift response from school administrators and law enforcement. And I mean, this one's spooky. Again, just like the we were talking about before. Kids today, you send them to school, you send them to a friend's house for a party.
Yeah.
You expect that they'll be treated right, and then something like
they're safe.
This happens. Right. To both, I don't know which is worse. Kids being confronted by a gun, or kids getting served alcohol at somebody's house.
There have been several bills on Utah's Capitol Hill to deal with situations similar to this. It's basically kids who have been suspended or even expelled from a school because of their behavior. And how do you reintegrate them back into school? So I know Utah's legislature has been trying to address this issue. I wonder if you know what's going to happen for this high school student from here.
Okay, so I'm looking. He has now been charged with. I'm sorry, he hasn't. We looked up his record and we found an older case that was alcohol possession by a minor. He hasn't been charged yet in this case. He's been booked in on probable cause, so it must have just happened. I ran his name and found that he had a prior involving possession of alcohol. But this just occurred just a couple of days ago, booked into Salt Lake County Jail on Monday. So they would have 72 hours to charge you, which means they're probably going to do something today or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is with that serious of a charge, they would probably charge him with threatening with a dangerous weapon, brandishing with a firearm, or maybe if he pointed it at somebody, that would be an aggravated assault. At any rate, this could be at felony level, and he's already suspended. I don't think
as an 18-year-old, even though he's a high school student, still
he's 18. He's an adult.
I know, so he'll be charged as an adult.
Right?
Then.
Yeah. I was presuming your question. Yeah. Yep. So if he's 18, no matter what else he's doing, he'll be treated like an adult in the adult system, and then he will, they'll deal with him in the adult court. But as of when we checked it this morning, which was about an hour ago, he had not been formally charged. He is in the Salt Lake County Jail, or at least he was when we checked, and the charges that they booked him in on are misdemeanors: threatening with a dangerous weapon and unlawfully carrying a dangerous weapon, which would be on school grounds. Mm-hmm. There are certain places you can't. So those are just part of a probable cause statement. In other words, a police officer felt like, hey, this is what I think he did. Mm-hmm. Just like the case involving the woman with with the alcohol.
Or even the driver that we talked about,
right?
With the three men.
Yeah, they book him on manslaughter charges, but the DA's office goes, no, wait a minute, this is much more serious than that. We're going to charge you with murder. And I worked at the DA's office, and I did what they called screening. Officers would bring in a case. You sort of look at the facts, you look at the law, and decide what's going on. And it's a kind of a give and take with law enforcement and the district attorney's office when they decide what and who to charge and how to make that all shake out. So we'll follow all three of these cases and keep you all posted on what's going on.
Such cheery stories.
Yeah.
Okay, look, so we've talked about this before. Utah is often defined by Wallet Hubs as the 50th state for women's equality, but they have another ranking as well about women, and we're going to talk with expert Dr. Susan Madsen about this latest ranking and how Utah stacks up for women when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. We've received documents from the Utah Department of Health and Human Services saying they are revoking the license of the Safe and Sound Services Company, which is an adult treatment center linked to the death of 3 of their clients. Police say a driver for the company left the 3 men in a running vehicle in a garage for hours while the driver went into his house to eat and watch TV. The 3 men died from apparent carbon monoxide poisoning. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, U.S. job creation and salaries picked up momentum in February.
Based on payroll data from more than 26 million American workers, payroll processor ADP says 63,000 jobs were added to the private sector workforce last month, nearly triple the number from January. The lion's share were created in the southern region, with education and health services leading the way. The ADP report finds that year-over-year, average pay was up 4.5% in February.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. The Gunlock waterfalls are flowing again in southern Utah. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi has more.
It's been a very dry winter around the state, but enough snow has fallen in the mountains around Gunlock State Park to fill the reservoir with runoff and send the excess water down the natural spillway created by red rocks. Crowds of people flock to see the spectacle, which doesn't happen every year, but it's unknown for how long the water will continue to flow. Park officials are pleading with people to use caution around the falls because the red rocks are sandstone and can be slippery even if they aren't wet. The park has responded to numerous calls for injuries with broken or twisted ankles.
Visitors are required to have a state park pass or day pass to access the area. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 301 points since opening at 48,802. Coming up, warm and sunny before the storm. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Will?
When I was 50, my whole life fell apart. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the house, I lost pretty much everything except for my life. When the IRS came calling, I just didn't have it in me. I felt like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting for that IRS anvil to drop.
Then Will found Tax Relief Advocates.
I heard their advertisement on the radio, I wrote down the number, and I made the call that changed everything. The IRS gave me a bill for $40,000. Tax Relief Advocates got that down to $3,200. I've paid 9 cents on the dollar. Now that's a great deal in anybody's book.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Will did and call TRA for a consultation.
But for me, the real win is I got my life back.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-488-2578. 800-488-2578. That's 800-488-2578.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
We do have a crash closing the on-ramp, I-215 South Belt, the on-ramp from Union Park Avenue to westbound I-215's South Belt is closed right now with a crash. I saw an emergency vehicle pull away in the camera, so maybe they'll get it open soon, but don't keep your hopes too high for that. We also have a crash in northbound I-15 in between the main flow of northbound I-15 at the end of the on-ramp from 3300 South. Not causing too many delays there, but just be careful and give them the space as you get around them. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast, we should hit a high of 62 in Salt Lake City today, but tonight our next storm system starts moving in. The rain could mix with snow Thursday and Friday mornings. Right now it's 45 degrees and clear in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You know, Greg, how I like to say, we're number one.
Because we are in so many areas.
Utah likes to brag about that, but they don't like it when we hear that we're number 50. And it's interesting because a lot of those rankings come from the same place. But one of the things that we talk about is the Wallet Hub ranking for best and worst states for women's equality. We always rank number 50 out of 50.
11 consecutive years.
I know. We're number one on the wrong side. But they also have a broader look. They drop the equality part and they just look at best and worst states for women. And then they have a number of metrics that they look at. So the person I think the best in the state to break this down for us is Dr. Susan Madsen. And she's the founding director of the Utah Women in Leadership Project. She's up at Utah State University now. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Madsen.
Great to be here again. Always talking about something hard, it seems like these days.
Well, there's a lot of hard to talk about. So why don't you tell us about this study and how it's different from the women's equality study?
Well, the women's equality study has 17 metrics, and there's a few metrics that go back and forth, but this one is really broader. So it has 25 metrics altogether, but in two chunks. The first one's women's economic and social well-being, and the second really focuses on women's health care and safety. And so there are many things on this that are not in the women's equality. But we're seeing some of the same things. For instance, on this, the economic and social well-being one, you do have the median earnings, which is our pay gap. And so we're not 50th on that, we're 48th on that. So for this one, actually, last year, for the ranking more generally, we were 35th. So really not in the bottom group. And we have shifted downward to 41st. So that's not looking good. But again, there's some things that we do better on and some things that we do worse. On that women's economic one, there's one metric that's friendliness towards women equality. Can you guess where we're at, Holly?
I'm going to guess 50.
That's 50th. The share of women-owned businesses is 48th. That pay gap is 48th. The one that we do the best in that half of the metrics is the share of women living in poverty. So we're number 2. So that means that 2 being good.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
unless you are a single mother or a woman over 70 in this state, we do pretty well in terms of poverty. There's still thousands of people, but if you're a single mom with young kids, the likelihood is almost 40% that you're going to be living in poverty. So even though it looks great there, we still can't say, oh, let's not even worry about that and work on it.
Dr. Madsen, I'm looking at a trend that is a little bit troubling, especially in the area you're just talking about, economic and social well-being. In 2024, we were 36th. 2025, we went down to 38th. Now we're down to 44th. I mean, we're going in the wrong direction. And I know that there isn't a straightforward answer, but what do you think's going on?
Well, we are, some of these metrics compare us, they all compare us to other states. And there's a lot of states that are making more progress than we are. And we are doing quite a bit, but we have this persistent pushback. And it's called, people don't like me to say it, but it's called sexism. This persistent pushback that there's a problem with women in the state while other states are making progress. So sometimes we can stay at the same rate of no progress or whatever it might be, and other states are making progress, so we're going down. Does that make sense, Greg?
Yes, it does. And I was looking at the same thing with respect to women's health care and safety. Again, we're dropping from 25th and 24, 28th and 25. We're 28th place in the year 2025, and now we're down to 29th. Again, Dr. Madsen, we're going in the wrong direction, and I think you articulate it really well because other states may be picking up the ball.
Yeah, but the ones on that second half that you just mentioned, that women's health and health care and safety, we do okay in terms of the share of physically active women. We're number 4, which is great. We're 11th on share of women with good or better health. Yet we take a dive. It's a persistent problem that, in fact, the legislature is not doing a lot to help. And that is the prevalence of rape victimization among women. We're 45th. So we're not the worst. Alaska's always the worst there. But that's terrible. And in some data, it tells us we're 7th worst in the nation. So this goes along with that. So we're seeing some, low numbers in terms of depression, and some of those things are just persistent. One other I'll mention is women's preventive health care. We are 46th, and that encompasses those annual visits, mammographies for women, some of those other tests. It's really interesting, isn't it, that we're 4th on physically active, yet we're one of the worst on getting to the doctor, taking care of ourselves, and on violence against women.
Can I just ask you a clarifying question? You said prevalence of rape victimization. Is there somehow a difference between rape victims, or is that just saying it in a different way?
That's just saying it in a different way.
Okay.
So there's real pushback in terms of even funding anything regarding rape, honestly, even for our shelters. But one of my biggest concerns is there's never been really substantial or any funding in some respects at all to prevent sexual assault and rape.
Yeah,
so that just doesn't come. It just, for some reason, not all our legislators, but they're just, it goes down to we still in Utah, because of sexism, more than other states, we don't believe women. Honestly, that's, I believe, what the core is.
Yeah, and we've only got about a minute left, but in terms of crime victimization, there's another sort of numbers that don't make sense to me. Homicide rate, we're 9th, doing very well, but sexual assault rate, we're 45th, doing very poorly. Those, again, I mean, you're the doctor, but they also seem to be a little bit inconsistent, and maybe they tell us something that maybe there's not a really good explanation for that, but those numbers seem troubling to me.
Yeah, and the homicide rate for, a lot of that comes from domestic violence. We rank, and it's not on this set of metrics, but we rank, which is way too many, but we rank about midpoint in terms of other states. For 1 in 3 women will be, experience some form of domestic violence. And so we have, compared to other states, less women that come out of those situations that are murdered, even though we have some sad situations in Utah where the family and the woman has been murdered. And so that's a bit of a different one in some ways, because it tends to go to the domestic violence. And rape can be within domestic violence, but as you know, it's broader. And we really do have a problem. And this is just with the reported ones.
Right.
Yet I know on campuses they won't want to admit, but we know from national research and all kinds of things that there's real problems on our campuses.
Right, and the majority of sexual assaults don't get reported at all. Well, thank you, Dr.
Yep.
Madsen, again for joining us and explaining that. That it really shed a lot of light on a lot of questions that we had. When we come back after the break, a suspected shooter's father has now been convicted of murder. This is the first parent in the United States convicted of murder due to the alleged acts of their child, at least according to ABC. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
We're joined in studio this morning by Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern Team of Amada Real Estate. And, of course, you know that you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. Just visit sternteam.com to find out more. Russell, I need to ask you this, because I think we ask you this all the time. Are we still in a buyer's market, or is it starting to shift more towards sellers now?
Yeah, I'm actually calling it a strategy market. So it's not extreme either way. So in Utah, our well-priced homes are moving, but buyers are more patient and analytical. And so if you're not priced correctly, it's definitely going to feel like a buyer's market. If you're priced correctly and you're in good condition, as a seller, you're still going to have the advantage because there's going to be a lot of interest.
Interesting.
Are there enough homes on the market right now in terms of just the pure numbers?
There are. So our inventory, is a healthy amount, is what I would say. So the absorption rate is anywhere from 4 to 6 months, meaning, that's essentially a balanced market of inventory.
And in terms of home values, I'm sorry, Holly.
It's okay.
Are they continuing to rise at the rate that they have been historically?
Yeah, it's definitely not at the rate historically. So we're kind of in that, like, we're just staying steady. We're not necessarily seeing a huge increase. Our median price is up about 1% year over year. But what you can buy for that price is actually, you can buy more home now than you could 4 years ago. So, prices, you could say they've come down even though the median price is up.
So what is something that buyers are getting wrong in today's market?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I would say is they're still waiting for the perfect interest rate. So as opposed to, going out, finding the right home, our interest rates compared to a couple years ago, they are lower. But for example, last week we hit the lowest we've seen in 3 years. But then with the war in Iran, we saw a tick up. So trying to time it, I think, put your needs first.
All right. Remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. Just visit sternteam.com to find out more.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait. And don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Inside Sources.
In a case that really has some unusual and I think interesting legal consequences, Colin Gray had been charged with multiple counts of second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, reckless endangerment, and cruelty to children. He had pled not guilty to the charges, and he was convicted. Now, let's hear more from ABC.
55-year-old Colin Gray is facing more than 100 years in prison, convicted of second-degree murder and more than 24 other charges. Jurors agreed that he ignored signs that his son could kill, giving him the gun even after authorities are seen warning him that his teenager was accused of making threats against another school. And the father had seen what prosecutors say was a shrine to the Parkland, Florida school shooter on his son's bedroom wall.
This is the first time we're seeing a parent convicted of a form of murder for the actions of another. And I don't think, unfortunately, it will be the last. There may be other fact patterns, other cases that we see similar to this. But hopefully this is a huge wake-up call for many parents that if you miss red flags and you provide the weapon, you could be found culpable for murder in this country.
Yeah, and in fact, a Georgia jury did find him guilty yesterday of charges including second-degree murder, manslaughter, and there were 27 counts. The jury found him guilty of all 27 counts, and they only deliberated for just a couple of hours.
So I thought this story was interesting, especially from a legal perspective, and I was glad that you are here so that I can ask you. This is the first time that a parent has been convicted of murder because of the acts of their child, even though there are other cases where they were trying to hold parents criminally liable for some of the children's actions. What's interesting is, what kind of precedent is this going to set, Greg?
Well, now, I thought that we did have another case where the mom and dad were convicted of something where the kid went in on a school shooting. I'm going to look into that. There was a husband and wife where their son had gone in and done some shooting, and they were both charged. This one, the father was charged with a murder. I think this is going to be the way in the future because we've had too many of these school shootings, too many of these mass murders, too many times when we say, "Oh, it's just a kid who's been." Radicalized, or he's having some real bad reaction to things that are happening on the internet. He's been bullied or whatnot. When a parent, as is alleged here, well, it's been proven now, provides a kid. This kid had some mental health issues. He had been acting out, and then daddy buys him.
He gave him an
rifle,
AR-15.
right? You got to be kidding me. I mean, that is something that you just think, wait a minute. I mean, that's why he was charged. I just think that the state had no choice but to do that, given everything that they learned about his conduct.
So you mentioned a case, and I can see this here actually in the ABC article. This is Jennifer and James Crumbly, who became the first parents convicted of charges stemming from a mass school shooting committed by their child. So he pled guilty, and he's sentenced to life in prison, but they were found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in separate trials.
Right.
So
so this would be the first time parents were charged with
murder.
Oh, you're so smart. Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's with murder.
They charged it with a more serious crime.
There was another parent who was also charged. It was Robert, I think it's Crimo, maybe. 7 counts of misdemeanor reckless conduct, one for each person killed by his son during a mass shooting in Chicago a couple years back.
So when we look at the law and we look at liability for one person based on the conduct of another, that's an interesting theory. But I mean, for example, if you could think of a real straightforward example of that. If it was a murder for hire, you hire somebody to go kill somebody you don't like, you're just as guilty as the killer under the law. There's no question about that. So that's when the line is pretty easy to clear. In this case, you could assume that the father had no intention of anyone being killed and didn't want that to occur. But his conduct was so reckless that he confirmed that he gave his son an AR-15 style rifle as a Christmas present, but said, it came with some rules. The defendant said,
"Don't shoot up a school.
This is a weapon. I don't want you to shoot when you can shoot it when we go to the range. And if you're doing really good in school, you'll be okay when you graduate. You can have this and keep it." But the kid had access to it, had access to bullets, knew how to arm it, knew how to load it, knew what to do, and got involved with shooting it. And so the jury said, Dad, you should have known better, and we're going to hold you responsible as well. And you just heard he faces up to 100 years.
It's not just that he gave him a weapon, but the fact that your son has a shrine set up to honor a school shooting in Parkland is that should be a red flag that the dad didn't pick up on.
Right, and that's what the state's case was all about. Then the prosecution said instead of getting his boy psychological help, he gave him an AR-15 style weapon as a Christmas present that he ultimately used to carry out this mass shooting at Appalachian High School.
ABC News legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer had more about that shrine there.
The picture of the Parkland school shooter, or pictures, just all over his wall. Like you would imagine a teenager with maybe an athlete or a supermodel. No, he had the Parkland school shooter on his wall in this almost like shrine. That to me was a red flag that I think no parent can say, well, I don't know what that's about. That's not something that I'm alarmed about. That to me was the biggest piece of evidence, the biggest red flag.
I mean, this case is full of red flags.
I know.
Give me a break.
So, here's another question. At what point are parents not culpable if they have a child, maybe they do see red flags, they're trying to get help, or maybe they don't see red flags. I don't know. But at what point are parents not culpable?
So I would say this. If dad had an AR-15 and he put it in a safe and he didn't tell the kid the combination of the safe, had the bullets in a different room, in a different safe, in a different lockbox, but the kid had sort of overthought him and found a way to get these things. Maybe you could say, okay, he's not culpable because he took reasonable steps to prevent this from occurring. In this case, he seems to have done just the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. He took steps to almost seem to encourage it. I mean, you walk into your kid's room and you see the Parkland shooter kid on the wall, you're gonna bury every gun you have within 100 yards of your house. I mean, you can't. Well,
it would be an emergency phone call to the psychologist saying,
Absolutely.
"Please get me in right away."
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think that parents are always responsible for the acts of their kids, and that wouldn't have occurred had this father taken some reasonable steps to prevent this from occurring. But instead, he did the opposite. He took steps that almost encouraged it and made it so easy for this kid to go in and commit this mass shooting that it was, I mean, how could you not know as a parent?
I think that was the prosecution's case. How could you not know?
Right. And I mean, the Parkland shooter pictures on his wall, like this, it's my hero.
Yeah.
I mean,
so his son is now 16, so he's still a minor. and he is charged with killing 2 students and 2 teachers, injuring 8 students on a September 4th, 2024 mass shooting in Georgia. But what's interesting to me, too, is that the dad is now found guilty and the son is still... They haven't gone all the way through the process with the son yet.
Yeah, well, that sends a message too. I mean, that tells me, and I think this is going to be happening nationwide, Holly. When kids are involved in these situations, people are going to start pointing fingers at mom and dad saying, what were you thinking? What were you doing? What happened in the weeks or months leading up to this? And what did you know, or what should you have known that could have prevented this? So I'm all in favor of law enforcement and prosecutors looking at others involved with these mass shooters and instead of just saying, well, the kid's messed up, let's just go after him. Because a lot of times the mass shooter is killed in the incident, and then what remedy do you have for the victims?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I'll get off my soapbox on that. I just think we charge parents and others less than we should. You know, they leave a gun out in a car or they do something like that, and you think at some point they should have some level of culpability. So I think this makes sense, and maybe this is the way we're going to do things with these mass shootings. Well, a new data on 2025 credit card debt is scheduled to be released by the Federal Reserve this afternoon. And WalletHub is projecting a $90 billion increase in credit card debt. Good heavens. We'll learn more about what's causing that when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, a Tooele woman was arrested accused of giving more than 10 minors alcohol at a child's birthday party. KSL News Radio's Michelle Rowe.
Police say 40-year-old Christina So provided the alcohol and encouraged the minors to drink until one attendee passed out. The parent who reported the party picked up his 13-year-old child, said they smelled of alcohol. An officer responded with a warrant to the West Tooele residents of So. Approximately 15 to 20 children were tested for the presence of alcohol. 6 tested positive. Attendees said So provided the alcohol and encouraged the minors to drink.
Police booked So in jail and asked that she be held without bail. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Pentagon says the U.S. operation in Iran is crippling Iranian military capabilities, and the U.S. and Israel will soon have complete control of Iranian airspace. But Secretary Hegseth was also questioned this morning about reports that a strike hit a girls' school.
All I can say is that we're investigating that. We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that. Red tie in front.
Just on the basis that with the information you would have, your reconnaissance abilities, ability to gather information, I mean, it's several days on now. So is there any clarity on whose munition this was?
We're investigating it.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 280 points to 48,781. Coming up, sunshine and 60s before the rain arrives. Weather's coming up next. Plus, it looks like a ramp is still closed in Midvale. New KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
We have in studio with us Russell Fawcett, the owner of the Stern team of Amada Real Estate. He is always so helpful to us. So, Russell, my question for you, it always comes back to interest rates. So if somebody has a 3% interest rate, should they just keep their home no matter what?
So it really depends. Sometimes, staying is actually the wise decision. Sometimes keeping it and renting it out. But sometimes, it does make sense to go ahead and take the next step in life, right? If your family size, your commute, financial stress, there are times when it's okay, it is time to make that, kind of take the next step in life.
Are there still ways that a buyer can assume a loan, especially a low-interest loan? I don't know how that works anymore.
Yeah, so there are different loan programs out there that do have assumable loans. VA, FHA, some conventional can be assumed, and it's an application process. So if you are looking at doing a true assumable, plan on anywhere from 60 to 90 days to get it done. And then also, normally you're doing that because someone has a low interest rate. And so most of the time the seller is going to still want their equity. And so usually we're seeing a couple $100,000 that someone's having to put down to be able to assume those loans.
Oh, wow. I asked you a question during our last break about mistakes that buyers make. What's a mistake that sellers make?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, or if someone says let's price it high and see what happens, or let's test the market, that for me is like, hey, if we're actually going to sell it, because if we test the market and end up having to do, if no one responds and we're doing multiple price reductions, we actually end up usually selling that home for less than if we would have just priced it correctly out of the gate.
That's a lesson you've taught us every
I
time.
know.
Pricing. Well, stick around. We're going to talk to you some more. Remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. Just visit sternteam.com to find out more.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
Southbound I-15 seeing some light delays approaching 90th South. This is due to a crash blocking a right lane and shoulder. And that on-ramp from northbound Union Park Avenue to westbound I-215 Southbelt is still closed. If you go under the freeway and flip around and come southbound approaching I-215, you can still get on the freeway. At UTA, they move your At UTA, they move your early mornings, your long days, your big plans. They move purpose. They move you. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we have sunshine during the day, but then our next storm moves in tonight. Rain could mix with snow Thursday morning in the valleys, then repeat again Friday morning. Right now it's sunny and 48 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, the Federal Reserve is expected Friday to announce its data on the 2025 credit card debt, and they are expecting, or at least WalletHub is projecting, that they're going to announce a $90 billion increase.
I feel
even
like
on
we
an
should play Christmas
inflation-adjusted
music.
basis. I mean, that's just nuts. $90 billion, and the total debt is like $1.3 trillion, but $90 billion is still a huge part of that.
Well, even just in the fourth quarter, Americans racked up $77 billion in debt. And so we talked about that a lot leading into the holidays, that they had economic worries and concerns, but they, by golly, were not going to decrease spending for the holidays. And I think we know how they did it.
Yeah, seriously. Well, let's talk to the expert. We've got Chip Lupo, WalletHub writer and analyst. Chip, thanks for joining us again this morning.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me.
What is going on here? Why it's such a huge? Why are you guys predicting such a huge gain in credit card debt?
$90 billion is the projection, and a large part of that is the $77 billion that you referenced just a second ago in credit card debt in the fourth quarter alone. Now, a lot of that was tied to the holiday season, and in a lot of cases where we saw some record cold temperatures, winter storms, people are overbuying on so-called necessities to combat that. And also another issue, and this is sort of follows from post-COVID, people are putting more and more of their everyday expenses on credit cards. This was something that was done out of necessity during COVID when we were at record high inflation, and it's a habit that a lot of consumers have just picked up on and have stayed with.
So, did tariffs have anything to do with this spike, maybe?
Well, the fear and the threat of tariffs did spark a huge part of it. Now, prices didn't necessarily go up because of it's just the threat and the uncertainty surrounding it, particularly during the holiday season. Now, think about this: is the two items that were most going to hit hardest by the tariffs were electronics and apparel. And those generally tend to be the most popular gift-giving items for the holidays. So I think you did see people going on a mad rush for those items, and in a lot of cases maybe overbuying, again, in fear that they would go up dramatically because of the tariffs.
Chip, does the credit card debt ever go down? I mean, do we ever get you guys have been following this for years. Do we ever get something from the Fed that say, oh, total credit card debt actually went down this last year?
Not if down marginally. You do get these times where it does kind of plateau and level off a little, where average balances may go up or down, but for the most part, it doesn't change a whole lot. Now, part of the reason is the silent assassin here is the interest rates. You're talking about average interest rates are about 22, 23%. You have people that are overspending on credit cards and not paying off those balances in full. And you brought up, Holly, I think you mentioned something just at the top of the segment, and part of the reason why is because people are still paying off debt from the previous holiday season. And they're not going to cut back. They're just piling on more debt on top of old debt, and that interest continues to accumulate, again, 22, 23%, and that accumulates daily. So if you're only making a minimum payment on your credit card, that's going to do next to nothing to keep those balances from going up.
Wow. Do you have suggestions for how people can decrease or get out of their credit card debt? Because that if you're just barely paying the minimums, I think you pay for like 30 years or something, it seems like.
Oh, or more than that, depending on your balance and your interest rate. Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to get caught up. Contact your credit card company, find out the exact amount that you would need to bring your account current, or maybe even negotiate some kind of a payment plan. Maybe you can get a reduced interest rate or a reduced minimum payment for X number of months just to get your account back on track. That's not necessarily a bad idea in order to get the rest of your financial house in order. But if you do something like that, keep in mind, though, that the interest rate's still going to accrue, so you're still going to have a little bit of a balance at the end of the term, with the trade-off being is you're not making any payments or making smaller payments during that term. The second thing, of course, you want to do is pay minimum. Now, if you're in debt with credit cards, chances are you're going to be in debt with more than one account. So what you want to do is pay off the credit card with the highest interest rate first. And if that means paying off the minimum on all your other accounts till you get that one paid off, and then repeat the process. Don't necessarily assume that once you get one credit card paid off, that's disposable income. Just apply that to the credit card with the next highest balance and repeat until you're completely debt-free.
Speaking of interest, Chip, are there banks or lending institutions that are offering better interest rates than others? I'm sure the answer to that is yes, but are there ways to find out how to get a better interest rate than maybe what you're currently paying on your credit card?
Oh, well, you can always shop around. You can always call your current credit card issuer and negotiate lower rates. But Wallet Hub, we are a personal finance website, and we have all that information out there for you. Just log on and do some credit card comparisons. You can compare up to 7 credit cards side by side and take a look for yourself, see what the interest rates are. Now, of course, your credit score is going to have a lot to do with that. Now, if you have a really good credit, you can negotiate a lower interest rate, but your credit score is going to be the main driver of what that interest rate is going to be.
I have a question, and you may not know the answer to this, but are there any immediate effects on credit card spending or interest rates due to what's happening in the Middle East right now?
Wow.
I said you may not know.
I mean, gas prices are certainly going up.
Well, yeah, we can indirectly, you can say gas prices are going to go up. And again, people are paying for gas with their credit card. So in that respect, now what's interesting, though, I'm going to sidetrack here for a second when it comes to gas prices, though, is that you're paying for a credit card. You're going to be paying more most times than you would if you pay cash. because the gas station is going to recoup the processing fees for the credit card. So if you have to pay for credit card, okay, but if you have the option, it's better to pay with cash. You could save up to usually about 3 to 4% on your gas bill by going that route.
Good advice. That was Chip Lupo, Wallet Hub writer and analyst, and talking about the credit card debt. You know, what he said there at the end, Holly, paying cash. I've always paid in cash. My kids just tease me about it.
I don't even
You've
know
always
what
got
cash is.
Right. But you know what happens now if you go into a gas station with a $100 bill? They look at you like, get out of here.
I think they have signs on the window that say nothing
don't
larger
even
than a
bother
20.
us. So you can't fill up your car for $20. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So
Carry multiple 20s.
It is difficult to pay cash
It
for
is.
anything these days because most businesses, they just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I've never seen before. The cash is worthless.
Yeah. And it's not technically worthless, right? But I see that too. And, you know, my kids have grown up in an economy where you tap your card and, like, you don't actually see the money. And so I think in some ways it makes it harder to budget because it just, like, you never see it come in and you never see it go out.
Right. And then you get a new credit card in the mail and you think,
That's right.
oh, hey, I've got another $5,000.
I've got more money.
Free money for me.
Free money for me. Okay, well, when we come back, we are going to ask our Russell Fawcett from the Stern team about how our homes might be setting us back financially. Speaking of taking on debt.
Right.
So stay with us over the break. We'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
And we're back with Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern team of Omada Real Estate. Russell, this is kind of a goofy question, but I need to ask you this. How could a homeowner who's got a fair amount of equity
That's me.
in their house tap into that without selling the house, without cashing it out?
Yeah, so the two biggest ways I would say is a home equity line of credit, or you could do a cash out refinance. So both ways, I mean, allow you to tap into your home's equity. I would definitely say, be careful on why you're doing it. But that's how you'd be able to access that and still keep the home.
Yeah,
Free money.
Like we just talked about with credit card. Hey, I've got some home equity. But my experience with home equity loans, and maybe this doesn't make sense, you generally get a fairly favorable rate as opposed to, it seems like the interest rate on a home equity loan is usually pretty favorable.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit more than a traditional purchase interest rate, right? But it's going to be substantially better than credit card rates. Right. So you're usually 1 to 2 points higher than kind of what the going rate for a conventional loan, which, right now would put your HELOCs probably, 8%, where, and I'll give the caveat of it depends, right? Depends on your credit and everything else. Where your credit cards, I mean, you can see 20+% in those, right?
Yeah. So when does it make sense then to keep your current home and rent it out instead of selling?
Yeah. So on that one, I would definitely say
kind of counterintuitive for you as a realtor. If somebody says, "Hey, what should I do?" But I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it really depends on your long-term goals of sometimes we can make it work financially that cash flow from your home, depending on how much equity or what your payment is, it can almost offset or be about the equivalent of taking the equity and making that down payment to make your payment lower. So if someone's willing to kind of jump into the landlord game, I'm always an advocate of using rental properties to build part of your retirement portfolio.
Good. We need you to stick around if you don't mind. Remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. Just visit sternteam.com to find out more.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
We'll admit, we've already thrown in the towel on the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, and we made it through dry January. But one healthy new habit we're sticking with is Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to help protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Yup, more energy and the peace of mind knowing we can enjoy the good things in life while giving our liver the love it needs.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
The new Inside Sources.
And we are back with Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern team of Amada Real Estate. And Russell, I need to ask you a question that's a little bit off the wall, but I saw a study, I think it was yesterday, today, that said 10% of homes in Utah right now are selling for more than $1 million. That's a phenomenon we haven't had before, correct?
Yeah, and I would say that's the trend that we're on. I mean, really going to a couple months ago, we talked about the article that by 2030, that our median price was going to be over $1 million. And so I would just say we're trending to what a lot of economists have predicted.
Wow. So we just did a segment on credit card debt, $90 billion, $77 billion just in the last quarter of last year. So I think sometimes people might feel like they start to get stuck and think about selling their house to get rid of all the consumer debt because they can use that equity. Is that a good idea, bad idea? When should people consider doing that, if ever?
Yeah, so I think it can be a good idea in if you are completely just drowning, right? If you're starting to miss payments, if you don't see any way out of it, then yes, tapping into your home's equity by selling and doing a restart, as opposed to living every day with complete financial burden and stress, I think it's good. However, what we see a lot of the times, and honestly, I kind of feel like this is why we're in the mess that we're in, is people got used to their COVID payments. They got used to living on more than what they were earning. And so if someone takes and essentially cashes out, pays off everything, but doesn't put in some type of disciplines or change their behavior, really they've just bought themselves a couple years. And so anytime that if we're sitting down with someone and that's the strategy, I would want to say okay, what are we actually trying to accomplish long term to make sure that we're not going to be here in 5 years?
I remember once purchasing a home, Russell, and the realtor said there's this thing called a jumbo loan. In other words, there's a certain threshold loan amount that you can qualify for. So buy a house that's within that number. I don't know if this is making any sense at all, but do they still do that? I mean, is there still hey, if you're going to get the best rates if you keep your house price at less than $800,000?
Yeah, and so honestly, I'd have to look it up to know the exact number, but jumbo loans typically, are going to be for your luxury homes. They are harder to qualify for, and honestly, their interest rates are a little bit higher. And so
they
are because once you get into that category, there's substantially more risk involved for the lender with that luxury financing. And so it is one of those that once you enter into the jumbo rate or category, they are requiring more down and things like that. So understanding of if I go up to this price, no longer am I going to have an option just to put 3% down. I'm going to have to, come up with 20, 25% down.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you.
So what could be, to me as a homeowner, the difference between keeping my low interest rate and improving my monthly cash flow? Is there a financial difference that is beneficial one way or the other?
Yeah. So again, if you're in a position where I would say you're just making your minimum payments on your credit card, so you're essentially carrying a lot of 20% plus debt, and your monthly outflow is at a point where you just have no discretionary income, we can sit down with you and say, look, if we were to go ahead and sell your home and then use that to pay down maybe a car loan or some other unsecured debt, and then buy the new home, let's say overall we're able to save you $1,000 a month by essentially consolidating your debt. That's what you're doing. If we can do that and start you kind of down I would say, a road to making your finances better, or sometimes we may be able, with your home's equity, you have to understand that money's not working for you. And so, sometimes we look at it is for a credit card, but sometimes we even look at it and say, look, if your retirement goal is this, maybe we go ahead and sell, buy a different property and use that $200,000-$300,000 that you have tied up, as your equity. Let's go ahead and sell, get the money, and start investing with it.
Yeah. Do homeowners often get in a position like that, what you're describing, where their home is actually holding them back? Like maybe their interest rate's high, or they're spending more than they should, or maybe they're just upside down. I mean, is there a time when you advise people, maybe even if you're not looking for a new house, let's sell the current house you're in?
Yeah, I would, again, we want to look at your long-term goals, but I would actually say there's a lot of people in that situation right now. In both they have a lot of equity and they're not they could be using it to invest, or they're paying way, way too much in credit card debt, that doing a restart honestly would benefit them a lot.
That's super interesting to me. We have talked to you about homes on the market and the length of time that they're staying on. And I understand that as we head into spring and summer, that's a busier time. Are you expecting some kind of an uptick in, I guess it would be a decrease in time on the market, but an uptick in sales?
Yeah. So I really believe that as we get further away from COVID, people are going to start looking at like, okay, I have this equity, I'm ready to make a move. Where are the interest rates today? And so we still do have a lot of pent-up demand. And so, again, if our interest rates are low sixes and the fives, we will continually see a gradual uptick in the number of home sales. We are at the peak of affordability, so I don't expect us to see any type of a run of like craziness getting back to, honestly, under 30 days of days on market. We're going to stay, closer to, right now we're close to 70. That might come down a little bit, but we just don't have the right circumstances really to make us run or crash right now.
And what about the anxious home seller who lists their house maybe at a number that's not where it should be, but then they're like, hey, we're not getting any shows. We're not getting people coming in. It's been on the market for 70 days. I mean, you obviously get to a point where you have to tell people, hey, we didn't set this you didn't set this at the right number.
Yeah, and so that's the nice thing is, once you go on the market, it is a truly demand-based market. And so it really is. We look at, there's three things that sell a home: the marketing, the price, and the condition. And so if your home is marketed right and you have the exposure, then you have to make a decision of, okay, for the current buyers that are out there, I either need to improve my price or I've got to go put some money into the home to improve the condition. And that's a conversation that we would have of, which option. We can wait, we can improve the price, or we can improve the condition.
That's really good advice.
I want to ask you another question, if you don't mind me, Holly.
It's fine.
Do you ever have homeowners that want to do, I guess, what I'd call a turnkey, which is sell a house furnished, or does that ever make sense?
Yeah, so we see that definitely more in the luxury market, where someone would come in. A lot of the times they furnish the home, for size and things like that. So you would see that more in luxury sales, or if a property, their primary use is Airbnb and the buyer wanted to go Airbnb again, you would see it there. But in your entry-level homes, I mean, you're typically not seeing that as much.
Do you ever see, and maybe this is, again, I don't know, in the rental market where there are luxury homes, these bigger homes that are on the market as rentals?
You do. And I would say in those circumstances, most of the time, it becomes, we call them accidental landlords, right? They wanted a certain amount. They were only willing to sell for that amount. They had a job relocation, and so they ended up, because of their equity position and their mortgage payment, they ended up putting it into the rental market. In resort areas, yes, you can have some intentional, let's Airbnb this nice home. But I would say in kind of your general market, most of those are accidental landlords as opposed to someone buying a spec and saying, hey, this is the property I'm going to rent out.
Yeah. In today's market, I think we've only got a minute left, Russell. What is a reasonable time on market when you're dealing with sellers?
Yeah, so again, it is area dependent, but if we look at our averages, I mean, you can plan on probably anywhere from 60 to 70 days being normal before you hit that panic button.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds by visiting sternteam.com to find out more. And that was Russell Fawcett. Thank you.
We've also learned that the Utah Department of Health and Human Services are revoking the license of the Safe and Sound Services Company. We talked about that earlier, which is an adult treatment center linked to the death of 3 of their clients. They may be holding a press conference, and if so, we'll join that. Otherwise, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Tyler Robinson's defense wants to keep cameras out of the courtroom in an upcoming hearing. In their motion, his lawyers argue the publicity of this case violates his right to a fair trial. They say they plan to present evidence that proves prejudice coverage of the case. Robinson faces the death penalty if found guilty of killing Charlie Kirk. Our top national story.
Going to break to the Department of Health and Human Services, which is about to give a press conference right now.
I just wanted to go over a couple of quick things that what Shannon can talk about today. She can talk about the actions our agency has taken and kind of our process and scope of what we do. A couple of things that she's not going to be able to speak to today. We are not a law enforcement agency. We're not going to speak to or speculate about criminal charges or anything of that nature. The other thing is we're also bound as a state agency by a lot of privacy laws. So we can't speak to specifics of the individuals who died. So does everyone have her name and spelling from the media advisory? Are we good on that, or do you need me to spell it out? No, we're good? Okay, great. Well, with that, I am going to hand things over to Shannon. Oh, do we still have someone to okay, yeah. Here, we can hold on.
We're about to hear from Shannon Toman Black, the director of the Division of Licensing and Background Checks from the Utah Department of Health and Human Services. And we're following up on a story that we talked about earlier on this show about a center that had been in part responsible for the death of 3 men who were left in their car while their caretaker was supposedly inside the house and supposed to be taking care of them, and what's going to happen with the licensing of that group. It was called the Safe and Sound Services Company. We're waiting for the director of the Utah Department of Health and Human Services to address that issue and talk about what's happening with that license. And I have to imagine, Holly, in terms of what we talked about earlier, that they're going to suspend the license of that agency and maybe give. It was interesting preface that the woman just said, we're not here to talk about the criminal end of this. That's for the district attorney's office. They're talking about solely the administrative part, the licensing part.
And I think they have already suspended that license, and I think they're going to talk about that. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was interesting just to her to set that up, that they're not talking about the legal part, criminal part that may be unfolding, because that's not their job.
Yeah, and so they obviously do, and we may hear a little bit about the type of background checks that they do, what they look for, what they expect. I assume if you're going to be involved in the caretaker, whether it's child care or adult care or disabled care, that the Department of Health and Human Services is going to do a fairly thorough background check on you
and training as well.
And and I think that's going to be the message that we get out of this. Although it should stand to reason that you don't need training on not leaving people in your car. Here she is now.
My name is Shannon Toman Black. I am the Director for the Division of Licensing and Background Checks for the Utah Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you all for being here today. At the core of our work is a commitment to the health and safety of people being served. And I, like every one of you here, was devastated when I learned about the senseless death of these 3 men. And like all of you, I realized that what I was feeling was just an nth of what the friends, families, and loved ones of these men were feeling. My heart goes out to all of them as they are navigating this unimaginable loss. I want to start today with some information on our Office of Licensing and what our role is in ensuring the health and safety of those in regulated programs. It is our job to make sure programs comply with administrative rules and regulations designed to provide healthy and safe environments for those in care. These rules and regulations are fundamental safeguards to protect vulnerable people being served in facilities and programs. We act within and only within the scope of authority given to us in state law. When a regulated provider is not in compliance with state rule or code, we have the authority to take several actions. Those include issuing fines, putting additional conditions on a provider's license, or revoking a license entirely. On February 6th, the Department of Health and Human Services issued a notice of emergency agency action the same day we learned of the deaths of 3 people being served by a licensed day program. This stopped the program from accepting new clients while we conducted an investigation. Our investigation uncovered multiple serious noncompliances with state rule, including, but not limited to, not providing supervision commensurate with the behaviors and needs of each client, and not protecting 3 clients from abuse, harm, mistreatment, or any action that may compromise the health and safety of clients. Based on these severe noncompliances, the Department of Health and Human Services is revoking the day treatment license of Safe and Sound Services. What this means is that they cannot accept any new clients. All services for existing clients must cease by March 31st, 2026, and the owners may not reapply for a new license for 5 years. Between now and March 31st, we will continue to prioritize making sure this program is safely serving its existing clients. We continue to conduct weekly inspections and monitor for rule compliance. If we identify areas of concern during these inspections, we will return as often as necessary to make sure that people are safe. And we will verify that the program is no longer serving people as of March 31st. Again, I want to thank you all for being here, and I have just a few minutes for questions. I would tell them, 1, I am so sorry, because trauma for one of us is a trauma for all of us, particularly those being served by this system. And 2, I would urge you, go to the department's website, to the Division of Licensing and Background Checks, go and look at the licensing record of your provider, anyone you're thinking of serving your loved ones. And if you have any concerns, if you've seen something, if your loved one has told you something, please go to our website and report that concern. We realize that we cannot be in every program every single day. And so you, as the news, and their friends, families, loved ones, staff, those being served by these programs, you are an important piece of this network of keeping people safe.
We are hearing from Susan Toman Black, the Division of Licensing and Background Checks with the Utah Department of Health and Human Services, talking about the revocation of the license of the provider that was responsible for the death of 3 individuals. And she's handing off the podium to one of the individuals who may know a little bit more about that situation.
Great. Thank you for that question. So
Asking why
in
wasn't anything
the
done?
department, the Division of Licensing and Background Checks, we hold a balance of 2 things. One, ensuring that individuals that are being served in our programs are healthy and safe. And 2, ensuring that there are providers that can give these valuable services. So what happens, we would prefer always to be able to work and help a provider not only come into compliance, but to be able to maintain that compliance ongoing and sustain that. And then when that can't happen, when we have tried other tools, then is when we move and we have to make that choice of, even if we're taking a provider out of the system, it is just irresponsible to have them keep operating.
I know the relocation decision specifically lists the Safe and Sound Day program. Does Safe and Sound also operate a residential program?
Safe and Sound does have other programs, and I cannot speak to those right now.
What happens with the patients that are under the care of Safe and Sound?
Great. So we, Department of Health and Human Services, work with them and their support system to ensure they are transitioned to a new and appropriate program.
One more question. What sorts of violations rise to the level of an investigation? Because in this document it talks about not providing background checks, adequate training, and then unfortunately we saw the culmination.
Yes. So we actually investigate when we find non-compliances. So, and again, the outcome of an investigation can be multiple things. If you have an interest in how we look at non-compliances and the actions we take, if you go to our website, there will be a place on there that you can look at our non-compliance policy.
All right, that was Shannon Toman Black, Director of the Utah Division of Licensing and Background Checks for the Utah Department of Public Health and Human Services, talking about the revocation of the license for Safe and Sound Services, LLC, Salt Lake City Day Program, which has a license which they have suspended effective March 2nd. She did talk about a wind-down period. That is, she said a couple things. One, they can take no new clients. Obviously, their license is suspended 2 days ago. And 2, the current clients, they need to find some placement for those. They've got to wind down pretty quick. And I thought, most importantly, don't even apply for another license for 5 years. I mean, they're on it. This is a pretty serious, probably about as serious of a revocation as you can get.
I also thought it was interesting, and I didn't know this until somebody asked that question, but they have other programs. She said she wasn't able to speak to those at the time, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were some sort of ongoing investigation into other programs as well.
Yeah, I think the whole agency is going to be a problem. And we talked about the really serious matter that occurred, which was one of their caretakers took some individuals. He was angry at one of them, left him in the car while he went in the house. I thought it was for a few minutes. It turned out it was like
4.5 hours with the car running.
Came back out. The 3 individuals were dead from carbon monoxide poisoning. But then they did a history check of the violations that this agency had caused over the last just 2 years, since March 12th of 2024, almost exactly 2 years ago, about a dozen violations, some more technical than others, but others really mistreatment, harm, abuse to clients, not protecting them. I mean, a lot of things that really, I think that the department had no choice, Holly, but to shut this group down.
And we learned earlier that the driver had also been reprimanded for leaving people unattended for 30 minutes, and this was 4.5 hours.
Yeah, and his problem is much worse than the agency he was working for. He's charged with murder.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some very serious charges that could put him in prison for a very long time. And it was a horrible thing that happened. You can't even imagine what the victims of that must have suffered, thinking about just sitting in a car and having no way out, and just sitting in a garage of a car while it's running.
I did think, too, that she asked the public, anybody with concerns, that they can call, and they do investigate, right? And that was one of, I think, somebody's point is, at what point does this rise to a level of an investigation? And she just said, look, you can call in anytime that you're concerned.
Yeah, and
we
that was
take these seriously.
A short and very to the point press conference talking about that specific agency. She didn't get into the details too much, and she didn't know too much. There was a question about they have a group home or something like
right.
that. And I assumed that once you shut down an agency, you're probably going to shut down all of their programs. But
she could not address that
this
right
was
now.
as close to the death penalty for a business as you can get when you talk about a full-on revocation, as opposed to a suspension or probation or other things that could have happened. They're like, no, you're gone for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it seems reasonable to me, right, given the circumstances.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, 3 people died in your custody.
Yep.
Doesn't get much worse.
Yep.
Well, when we come back, Kristi Noem was on the hot seat yesterday, and boy, seemed hot. And it looked like she was on again today. I don't know if we're going to have some sound from that, but it looks like was the House yesterday and Senate today, or did I get it just backwards?
Backwards.
Yeah, okay.
Senate yesterday,
she's
House today.
certainly being grilled. And we'll talk about what happened and what we can expect when we come back.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. Let's talk conventional versus FHA loans. Both offer cash-out refinances up to 80% loan-to-value or LTV, so which is best for you? It's kind of like Uber and Lyft. I always compare the two before booking a ride. Conventional loans don't have mortgage insurance under 80% LTV. However, the rates and costs get higher with lower credit scores, cash-out, and high LTVs. FHA loans always have mortgage insurance, but the rates are lower, they don't penalize you for cash out and high LTV loans, and they allow for higher debt-to-income ratios. FHA often results in lower payment even with mortgage insurance. We can analyze your situation within minutes. Call us today. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. Drugstore insoles, custom insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet. And the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Teresa actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
They wanted to make sure that I got something that my feet felt good in, not somebody else's feet. I love the fact that I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. I have boots, I have cowboy boots, I have running shoes, I have walking shoes, I have flat shoes, I have heels. It makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store. I'm Teresa. And that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Are you looking to upgrade your home this year? Advanced Window Products is your local window and door manufacturer that sells direct to the public.
That's right, celebrating 40 years serving Utah since 1986. And right now, it's the New Year, New Window Sale. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more.
Our windows are made right here in Salt Lake City. Sales and installation are all in-house, meaning no middleman markups. You get the most affordable, high-quality custom windows in the state.
We build it, we install it, and we guarantee it for life.
Every window comes with a lifetime warranty, labor, glass, and parts included, serviced by our local team, and the warranty is transferable to the next homeowner.
Financing is available too. Save now, pay later, with payments as low as $150 a month.
Buy local and support the local economy. Don't wait. Buy 10 windows or more and get $2,500 off. Beat the rush and call today.
Call us at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
Well, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was on the hot seat yesterday. It got pretty hot. She's on again today.
The fact that you can't admit to a mistake, which looks like under investigation, is going to prove that Miss Good and Mr. Pretty probably should not have been shot in the face and in the back. Law enforcement needs to learn from that.
And it kind of went downhill from there.
Yes, it did. And I don't know that it's downhill, right? Because I think it's fair for people to have to show up and justify to Congress not only their actions but their qualifications. And one of the things that's interesting about Tom Tillis is he's a senator who's a Republican, and he was animated.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Back to Minneapolis. Why can't we just say we made a mistake? I will ask you one question, if you can just give me a quick response. Who does Tom Holman work for? You or the president?
The president.
Okay. Why is that? Because I believe the president recognized that you weren't getting it done in Minneapolis, and you're putting us further away from pointing to this. We're beginning to get the American people to think that deporting people is wrong. It's the exact opposite. The way you're going about deporting them is wrong. The fact that you can't admit to a mistake, which looks like under investigation, is going to prove that Miss Good and Mr. Pretty probably should not have been shot in the face and in the back. Law enforcement needs to learn from that. You don't protect them by not looking after the facts. Not only should the FBI be investigating it, but every single law enforcement agency in that jurisdiction should be invited to it, so our law enforcement officers do not have this pall cast upon them. One of the reasons why ICE officers are having threats, and damn the people that threaten ICE officers, because so many of them are doing a good job, is because you've cast a pall on them by acting like we should investigate things differently. Officer-involved shootings have a formula that we should go through every time. And we're not going through that formula. As a matter of fact, in Ms. Good's case, I think that they were even saying that maybe there wasn't even a need to do it in the DOJ. I hope that that's changed. But I'm telling you, it was a civil rights review. I saw your frown. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But originally, Blanche said there wouldn't be an investigation. Folks, law enforcement, we've got to have their back. We've got to make it clear when they make a mistake, then they get corrected for it. but you don't walk away from it, and you've done it too many times.
We're going to take a break right now to the White House. Caroline Leavitt is giving a briefing on the war in Iran. We're going to join that in progress now.
Let me remind you, Operation Midnight Hammer, which took place last June, obliterated Iran's 3 major nuclear sites. Yet the terrorist Iranian regime has remained fully committed to rebuilding its nuclear program. How do we know this? Because Iran has pursued this path of war and violence despite President Trump dispatching 2 of his top and most trusted negotiators to engage in exhaustive and good faith negotiations to try and reach a deal. And the world knows this president's preference is always peace and diplomacy first. Look no further than the 8 additional global conflicts he has ended in the past year as proof. Unfortunately, the terrorist Iranian regime refused to negotiate in good faith. They chose this path of violence and destruction, and they are reaping the consequences of their horrible decision. The regime did what they always have done. They lied, they delayed, they tried to string the United States of America along. They wanted to buy themselves time to continue building ballistic missiles and other deadly weaponry that could harm our U.S. personnel and troops in the region, and to continue aggressively pursuing their unacceptable nuclear ambitions. U.S. negotiators offered to lift crippling sanctions on Iran and even provide nuclear fuel to Iran at no cost to support a civil nuclear power program. They additionally had the opportunity to accept U.S. support as an investor in potential projects to develop peaceful nuclear energy together under a mutually agreed upon framework. Yet in response, Iran would have to forfeit their enrichment capacity once and for all. But Iran rejected. They accepted none of these generous and unprecedented offers by the United States. Simply put, they refused to say yes to peace. And their refusal made clear that their #1 priority was building a nuclear weapon with which to threaten the United States of America. Again, the country they have been chanting death to for nearly 5 decades. Let me state this again clearly. Iran rejected the path of peace because the terrorists in charge of this regime wanted to build nuclear weapons to use against Americans and our allies. President Trump made the determination, a courageous determination and decision, that the path the United States was on with Iran had only one outcome: massive death and destruction at the hands of a nuclear-armed terroristic regime. That path of death and destruction and threats against the American people have ended with Operation Epic Fury. Operation Epic Fury has forged a new path that will better ensure the security of the United States and our people. The terrorists made a bet that President Trump would be like many of his predecessors, that he would just talk and he would refuse to enforce his clear red lines. But that has proven to be a catastrophic error in judgment. When President Trump makes a threat, and I have reiterated that threat many times from this podium to all of you over the past year, President Trump does not bluff. The president's words are backed up by the mightiest warriors in the world who possess the most sophisticated capabilities this world has ever known. 49 and counting of the most senior Iranian regime leaders, including the supreme leader, have already been wiped off the face of the earth. Make no mistake, killing these brutal terrorists is good for America and makes the world a much safer place. I want to also extend our prayers and condolences to the families of the 6 U.S. military service members who have been lost in Operation Epic Fury. These heroes represent the very best among us. They laid down their lives in defense of our country, and we will never forget their legacy or their sacrifice. As the president said, we grieve for these American patriots and their families as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. President Trump intends to attend the dignified transfer of these American heroes to stand in grief alongside their families. I understand the Department of War is working on scheduling this transfer, and we will provide updates at the appropriate time. Finally, the Trump administration is also doing everything within our power to protect Americans in harm's way. Since the launch of Operation Epic Fury, more than 17,500 Americans have safely returned home from the Middle East, with over 8,500 American citizens returning home to the United States just yesterday alone. If you are a U.S. citizen in the Middle East looking to return to the United States, The Secretary of State asks that you please register with the State Department at step.state.gov. The State Department will identify where you are and provide travel options directly to you. The administration is already rapidly chartering flights free of charge and booking commercial options, which we expect to become increasingly available as time goes on and the success of this mission further comes to fruition. I know the President and Secretary of State Rubio have been in touch as well with our allies in the region directly about this problem, making it clear that it is a priority of the United States of America to bring every American home. The Trump administration will not rest until every American is home safely and until the terrorist threat from Iran has been completely destroyed. With that, I'll take your questions. Eric, why don't you kick us off today? Thank you for being here.
We've been listening to a White House briefing by Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary. Just an update on what's happening in Iran. We'll listen to some of the questions here.
And we're also hearing reports that the Supreme Leader's son may be named his successor. Do you have any more information about that? I just had a quick follow-up as well.
Sure. We've seen those reports as well, of course, and this is something that our intelligence agencies are closely monitoring and looking at. The truth is, we'll have to wait and see. The president has said repeatedly that the objectives of Operation Epic Fury are the 4 military objectives that I laid out for you previously: to destroy Iran's navy, to destroy their ballistic missile capacity, to ensure their proxies in the region can no longer harm Americans, and to also ensure that they can never obtain a nuclear weapon. As for what comes next for Iran, the president has said, of course, it's a good thing for the United States to want freedom for the Iranian people, and ultimately we hope that freedom rests in their hands.
Caroline, we see the Arab and Muslim nations coming under fire as well. President Trump's vision for the region has been to bring the Arab and Muslim nations to the table together, Abraham Accords, obviously, with Israel. If this regime topples, could we see a new day in the region and really a new Middle East come out of this when the dust settles?
Well, the greatest deterrent to true and long-lasting peace in the Middle East has always been the rogue Iranian terrorist regime. And our Arab and Gulf partners in the nation admit that, as well as, of course, our close friend and ally Israel. We have seen all of the Arab partners in the region come together during this time on the phone with President Trump, many of them commending him for this bold and brave action to protect American troops and our bases in the region that are housed in many of these Arab and Gulf states. And I know that many of these regional partners are contributing their air defense capabilities as well: Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and the president continues to be engaged with all of them.
That was White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt giving us an update on the war in Iran, some helpful information. We're going to take a break now and come back with our continuing coverage of immigration in Utah and more insight on the general need for more immigration enforcement. Stay with us.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour: motorcyclist was killed after crashing just west of the University of Utah. This was sometime around midnight. Police say the man was riding on 500 South when he lost control, went over the median. An officer discovered him after the crash. The cause is still being investigated. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Lawmakers are set to vote this week on measures aimed at curbing the use of U.S. military in Iran. A vote in the Senate is expected later today. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more.
Despite the language being used by the president, House Speaker Mike Johnson says the U.S. is not at war.
It's a defensive operation.
One that Johnson says is the right thing to undertake. He says passage of war powers measures aiming to direct the president to withdraw U.S. forces would be a terrible, dangerous idea.
I believe we have the votes to put this down, and I certainly pray that's true.
The war powers resolution was enacted over Richard Nixon's veto in 1973. No administration since has viewed it as constitutional. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 329 points, the S&P is up 59. And coming up, rain and snow kicks off tonight. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt, and and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
he attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these and collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with and collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's and collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried and collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's and collar, andcollar.com.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU, up to $500 for loan transfers. Lover U Bank, here's Tito Nani.
We have trouble in traffic in South Salt Lake on northbound I-15 right before the exit at 3300 South. The right lane is blocked off, as well as the 3300 South on-ramp itself, with congestion stretching all the way back to 4500 South in Murray. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the 60s today. The storm moves in tonight and could bring rain and snow all day tomorrow and through Friday. Right now it is 48 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Utah is not different, I don't think, than the rest of the nation. And immigration is a topic here in Utah like it is around the country. And we've been trying to talk to a variety of guests about that balance between enforcement and acceptance and how is it all supposed to work. And we have with us today Andy Perucci. He's a Riverton City Councilman, and he is here on his own, and which is totally fine, of course. But I wanted to ask him about just what he is seeing and if we need more enforcement, and if so, what that looks like. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Holly, and thanks for clarifying that. Although I serve on the city council, I'm not speaking on behalf of the city, representing my own personal views. All the legality stuff is out now. Yeah, it's a tricky balance because Utah, we care. We love people. We care. We want to treat our neighbors well. We also respect the rule of law, and that's where there's conflict. And this is an issue where there are people lives at stake, and it gets really messy. And so where I come at this from is, local governments, we plan in the long run, and it's impossible to plan in infrastructure, roads, housing supply, zoning for the whims of political shifts in immigration enforcement. And so when I first got on the council, this is when we started seeing this significant uptick in illegal immigration in Utah. I mean, we've doubled from 2019 to 2025 the number of illegal immigrants in the state. And I was sitting in rooms where we were talking about 5, 10, 15-year plans with significant dollars that would be invested. And it wasn't on the planners' radars. It wasn't on policymakers' radar of, we have a population center that's here, and are they going to be here long term? We don't know, but there are needs and there are impacts from that, from a traffic standpoint, from a housing supply standpoint, that we're having to adapt to in real time, that these systems are not in place to adapt really well.
In the 2024 election, Andy, immigration was a top issue. Let's face it. It was probably one of the more resounding reasons why President Trump was elected. And the gates were too far open. Too many people were entering the country, and too many people were coming here without documentation and staying longer than they should have. A lot has happened since then. Have we done what we need to do, or have we, like some people think, maybe taken it a little too far?
That's a great question. I think that in some instances we've swung too far, or maybe swung quicker than was signaled. That being said, some of the signals were mixed. And so, on the one hand, there were messages of, let's focus on the criminals first, and then we'll tackle everything else. But then there were also numbers and quotas that were an expectation of deportation. There's a conflict there because there's only so many of the illegal immigrants that fall under the criminal category beyond, illegally crossing the border, and that population is harder to access. And so, from my perspective, we need to tackle the situation and focus on the system and the processes, and still treat the people humanely. And I also think, look, it's not humane to also keep people in limbo and allow them to live their lives in a way that they're not really certain what's going to happen, and they're subject to the whims of presidential elections every 4 years because Congress has not acted in a serious way on immigration reform.
Yeah, I mean, that brings me to the question, isn't the system broken?
It's completely broken, and it's left to local leaders, to state leaders, to civic leaders to pick up the pieces, and we're not equipped to pick up those pieces. Local taxpayers shouldn't have to foot the bill for federal failure.
It's interesting, and I have a family that we have a lot of immigrants because my kids came from other countries. But my question, I guess, is we're seeing I agree with you, mixed messages, right? Utah is welcoming. When white people came to settle Utah, we were fleeing persecution, right, and coming to a place where we felt like we could be safe. And it seems like people who are trying to do it the right way, they're still being swept up in these ICE raids.
Yeah, and I think that I agree, and I think part of the challenge is the Biden administration, we saw unprecedented numbers. If we continue to operate pre the Biden era, the same flow of illegal immigrants and legal immigrants, I don't think we would have seen such a strong reaction that would have led to this wave in 2024. But when you're talking about a doubling of the population of illegal immigrants in the state of Utah, we're already facing housing shortages without that increase in population. Our roads are already congested without that increase in population. And so there are constraints that this piles onto that I think has caused a reaction that has led to this situation that we're in. But we're also, Utah is not Minnesota. We're not seeing the same scale of challenges from an enforcement standpoint. And I think part of that is because we're trying to do this the right way. We're trying to work together collaboratively, treat people as people, but also deal with the problem at hand.
Do you think the voters, this kind of goes back to what I talked about earlier, gave us a mandate in 2024 and said we absolutely need to do something about it? Do you think that the Trump administration had no choice but to do some of the things that they're doing?
I think so. I mean, it's pretty clear. And even today, I still hear a pretty clear mandate from my community that there is a desire to see change. And what that change looks like when you boil that down, there's a wide variety of differences. And so I think people can take whatever they want from that mandate, but there's a lot of nuance in what people are expecting.
Just keeping it here in Utah, we're not a border state. We haven't historically had a problem with immigration. At least some of us don't see that. But did we have a problem here in Utah? Were there things that needed to be fixed?
100%. And I think we still have a problem. And, during the Biden administration, we realized that you don't have to physically be a border state to have the impacts of a border state. We were one of the highest numbers of states with illegal immigrants from 2019 to 2025. We have seen the number of accidents with undocumented immigrants skyrocket in the state, which has left residents, Utahns, having to pay the price. I mean, they're having to pay out of pocket. I just talked to a resident last week that their car was hit by an undocumented immigrant and the car is totaled. They're going to have to eat that through their insurance and then pay whatever is left on top of that. That's a result of a broken system. And it's a problem whether you live in Riverton, Utah, or in Houston, Texas. And it's not the border state aspect is not that no longer, I think, is a nuance that needs to be explored because every state's a border state at this point.
So what's the balance?
That is the $1 million question. As a conservative, one of the lines has always been fix the border first, and then we can tackle immigration reform. That's what needs to happen. I'm also realistic, and Congress loves to use this as a wedge issue, whether they admit it or not. It activates the base on both sides, which is sickening. But that's really where we need to apply pressure, whether we agree with the enforcement effort right now or don't. We need to put the onus on Congress to take action, to actually do meaningful immigration reform while treating people like people, humanely as humanely as possible, helping them navigate this process while enforcing the laws. It may sound like a Pollyannish answer, but I believe that we can help people navigate the system in a way that treats them humanely, and help them leave the country and comply with the laws in a process that works.
I have one final follow-up question. I was in the legislature around the time that Utah really was pushing hard on the Utah Compact on immigration. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Is it time to revisit that?
I think it is, but I'll leave the state policy making to others.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. That was Andy Perucci, Riverton City Councilman, speaking on his own behalf on an important issue. When we come back, we're going to have fun facts, but we're also going to have Greg's closing arguments for the day.
What if Jurassic Park really existed? Well, you would need a reliable mobile connection to keep you online at the park. With Xfinity Mobile, you have Wi-Fi where you need it and 5G everywhere else. Whether you're live streaming a T-Rex feeding or downloading park maps when you're lost in the Gallimimus Run, you can stay connected with Raptor fast speeds. Xfinity Mobile is there for you at home and at the park because it was born ready for you to roam. Xfinity. Imagine that. And now you can cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines unlimited. Learn more at XfinityMobile.com. That's XfinityMobile.com and watch Jurassic Park with Xfinity. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26 taxes, fees extra.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Process Curiosity is a team of artful designers and skilled fabricator sculptors who craft immersive experiences using a human-centered design approach. Based in Salt Lake City, they've been making waves in the design and fabrication industry. CEO Blake Wigdahl joins us with more.
We are Process Curiosity, a planning, design, and fabrication firm dedicated to creating spaces that inspire, engage, and resonate with communities for generations to come. Our team of artful designers, skilled fabricator sculptors, work closely with clients to transform ideas into immersive, interactive environments that spark imagination and lifelong learning. We've partnered with world-class institutions across the nation, crafting custom exhibits, installations, and experiences that do more than encourage curiosity, they unleash it. Every project is rooted in human-centered approach, ensuring visitors feel connected, inspired, and deeply engaged. Utah is growing at an exceptional rate and gaining global recognition, and we're proud to contribute to this momentum. We help organizations design meaningful, newsworthy, and authentic experiences that connect with audiences of all ages. By blending creativity, craft, and strategic planning, Process Curiosity brings visions to life in ways that leave lasting impressions.
Process Curiosity continues to shape Utah's creative landscape, crafting engaging, human-centered experiences that inspire and connect communities. Learn more at processcuriosity.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, that's pretty much a wrap for this show today.
I
We
know.
had a lot of fun today. I got to go up on the Hill. We got to go to the White House and get to a press conference and talk about some criminal stories that were just gut-wrenchingly hard to talk about.
So we do the gamut.
Yeah, we
so
did
today is actually, I think it's said Holi. It's Holi, and it's the Hindu Festival of Colors. So I don't know if you've ever gone down to Spanish Fork because they do that at the temple, basically.
They have that temple down there.
Yeah,
yes,
down there.
I'm familiar with that building.
The
right.
Krishna temple.
Right.
So I've had kids who've gone and they throw chalk at each other, right? It's powdered chalk. It's in the air. It's
yes,
that festival.
right.
It's the Festival of Colors. So it is an annual celebration to basically announce the beginning of spring, observed in India, Nepal, other South Asian countries, and right in Spanish Fork.
Yeah, and it looks like a very I don't know, not necessarily festive, but it looks like
it is
something that
fun,
people
and it's
really
meant
seem
to be. It's
enjoy.
meant to be fun. So of course there's always food, and that's always amazing. It actually is related to the lunar calendar, and it actually falls on March 4th today, which is today. So fun times, and I saw, this is not related to Holi, but talking about the lunar calendar. Today on my way in, I saw the moon, and even my 11-year-old was like, "Mom, it's yellow." It was huge setting on the horizon. I was like, I'm so bummed because today was clear.
We missed.
And yesterday it was
been
so cloudy and raining. I couldn't see a thing, so I missed the red moon. But I saw today's big yellow moon.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this I wanted to tell you on this day some of the things that happened. So it's March 4th. So now our inauguration day for our presidents is January 20th, but it used to be March 4th. And so we have a lot of people who were inaugurated on March 4th.
Was Election Day different then?
No.
It seemed like that's a long time.
It is a long time, and that's one of the reasons they changed it. It's
Yeah.
like, that's too long. You get elected in November. But before we get to Inauguration Day, in 1791, Vermont was admitted to the Union as the 14th state. So they were the first one to join after the original 13 colonies. Vermont.
Oh, number 14. Yeah, the first state that was not part of the
Vermont. Yep.
1791.
Yep, 1791.
Long time ago.
So in 1797, just a few years later, John Adams was inaugurated as the second president of the United States, and Thomas Jefferson was his vice president. And go
I
ahead.
just watched a podcast called John Adams.
Yeah.
That you should watch. I can't remember who played him, but it was like a 5 or 6 part thing. And it was very, very well done, but very historical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something. It's called.
He was an interesting guy.
Right.
Yeah.
He was very interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of a
Yeah.
miserable guy, but
Yeah.
had some great ideas and did some wonderful things. But
Kind of a miserable
just,
guy. Yeah. In 1801, then, so just 4 years later, Thomas Jefferson, and that was a very, very acrimonious election. But he was inaugurated in Washington, D.C., and he was the first one to be inaugurated there as the capital city. So 1861, Abraham Lincoln was inaugurated. And I think it's interesting.
this very day was Inauguration Day.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
March 4th.
This very day,
Oh,
March
yeah.
4th, is actually Inauguration Day. Yeah. So on this day in 1917, Jeanette Rankin took her seat as the first female member of Congress. She was from Montana. She was a Republican. This is 1917, remember, so 3 years before the 19th Amendment was actually officially ratified. And she said this: "We're half the people, we should be half the Congress." Go, Jeanette.
Yeah, good for her. You know, it's interesting the number of prominent females that got involved in politics from Western states.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have expected that necessarily.
I think because
mean,
Western
Utah-
states offered suffrage to women before the East Coast
Yeah,
did. I
it
mean,
was
I think that's part of it for
certainly
sure.
Utah did,
Mhm,
yeah.
Yep, yep. And in 1918, we had the first cases reported in the United States of this weird thing. It ended up being the flu, the 1918 flu pandemic that eventually killed 675,000 Americans. It killed millions worldwide. It was
Yeah.
the flu pandemic. People used to call it the Spanish flu. Do you know why they did?
No.
They called it the Spanish flu because Spain took it seriously and did that, like they put people in quarantine and they were closing their borders. Everybody else was like, it's no big deal, it's no big deal, as they spread it on transport ships, because this is World War I too, right? So they're spreading it all over the world and Spain is shutting down. So people were like poking fun at Spain by calling it the Spanish flu. They were actually the smart ones.
And it was it was a pandemic. Yeah, the
It
flu.
was a
I didn't
horrible,
realize that
horrible
many people
pandemic.
died from it.
Yeah, and
Because we
worldwide
think
it was
of it
millions.
Today, I guess because we have vaccinations and whatnot.
Well,
I still get mine every year.
Yeah, we had COVID. So it's different than what we have today as what we call the flu. This one was if you read the book, I think it's called Pandemic. I can't remember, but it was so good because it really described the same type of sentiments we saw around COVID still existed, but this disease was much more brutal, much more deadly. People could go to work healthy in the morning and drop dead on their way home. It was really, really bad. So that was
the early flu, and it's
1918,
like the COVID. It's morphed and changed, and maybe it is a slightly different
Yeah.
animal than it was back then.
So I have just a couple others. We have in 1936 the first flight of the Hindenburg. Sorry. In 1952, Ronald Reagan married Nancy Davis. And in 1966, John Lennon, bless his heart, said, "We, the Beatles, are more popular than Jesus."
And that was the beginning of the end for him. I think that was some people took that very
A little bit of arrogance
yeah.
there.
But it was taken out of context because he was being facetious, and his point was we shouldn't be.
Okay.
His point was we're more popular than Jesus. That's the wrong message. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Well, I didn't have the context there,
Yeah,
so thanks for filling
that's
that
what
in.
I thought was that he was saying that's a bad thing. All right. Well, so the Utah legislature met in December 2025 for a special session, and at that time they passed a resolution condemning the state judiciary for judicial activism. When the session began this year in 2026, the Utah legislature made a point, I believe, to go after the judiciary, and there was no secret about that. They passed a number of bills. One was they expanded the size of the Utah Supreme Court from 5 to 7. They created this constitutional court. They added 3 judges to hear constitutional issues. They changed the way the Chief Justice was selected. And importantly, or maybe somewhat importantly, they've gone after certain judges, which ended this week with a censure of the 7th District Judge Don Torgerson in Grant County. I've worked with judges my entire career, and judges in Utah typically are the best and the brightest lawyers, and they take a huge sacrifice, Holly, in the amount of money that they could be making in private practice to go be a judge. I have a couple of fears about what's happening right now in Utah that I just want to express, and I'll do this very quickly. We might be causing a chilling effect for lawyers who are working hard and who want to serve and who want to be a judge, because we're saying, well, we're going to keep you under the radar. We're going to have you change the way that your retention is dealt with. We want to look at what you're doing and perhaps have you condemned or censured or whatever, in a way that I think could cause a chilling effect. And I'll say something else, and I want to come back a year from today and talk to you about this. We've expanded the size of the Supreme Court to 7. We've created this Constitutional Court. My guess is, a year from now, the Constitutional Court will, by a 3-0 verdict, say some of the things that the legislature is doing is unconstitutional, and they'll be just as angry as they are today. And the Supreme Court, instead of holding that some laws that the legislature are doing by a 5-0 margin, will find it by a 7-0 margin. And I don't know what the legislature's reaction to that's going to be. So I guess my point is, be careful what you ask for, because you have the threat of watering down the quality of the judiciary, or getting the same results you're getting today, but costing more money by creating more judgeships and creating this special constitutional court. I don't think they're going to make a difference. But the legislature did what it did. I was really upset with the way that they censured the judge recently, but I'm in the minority on that because some people were concerned about it. Anyway, I said my 2 bits. I'm a lawyer. I practiced for 44 years, and I guess I just feel like the judiciary was under attack this year in a way that didn't make sense.
And those are your closing arguments.
Those are my closing arguments for today. Well, and by the way, the White House press secretary is still talking about the war in Iran, so apparently that's not going particularly well. But that's it for Inside Sources today. Midday with Maria Shilaos is up next with an update on the proposal aimed at streamlining the death penalty cases in Utah. I wish I had some closing arguments on that, but maybe that's for next week. Stay with us right here on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon, and this is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL's top story. It is developing news. New action today from the state after 3 men with disabilities died from carbon monoxide poisoning in West Valley City. State health officials say the treatment program tied to the case has